are drawn across the water, no solid ground beneath my feet. Every voice is getting louder, but no one's listening at all. Feels like we're just drifting farther and farther, watching everything fall. SOS, somebody come and save me from the insanity. I know, we put ourselves on this road, but I want to go back home. SOS, somebody please provide me just a little stability. My knees can't take too much more of the shaking I'm breaking. Promises like broken anchors pulling every ship off course, 'cause speaking over people, but what are we fighting for? But I still have to believe in something so lost back then inside the flame. If we stop tearing at each other, then maybe, oh maybe, something will change. SOS, somebody come and save me from insanity. I know, we put ourselves on this road, but I want to go back home. SOS, somebody please provide me just a little stability. My knees can't take too much more of the shaking I'm breaking. Woke up to another one and same old story on repeat. Lines are drawn across the water, no solid ground beneath my feet. Every voice is getting louder, but no one's listening at all. Feels like we're just drifting farther and farther, watching everything fall. SOS, somebody come and save me from the insanity. I know, we put ourselves on this road, but I want to go back home. SOS, somebody please provide me just a little stability. My knees can't take too much more of the shaking I'm breaking. Promises like broken anchors pulling every ship off course, 'cause speaking over people, but what are we fighting for? But I still have to believe in something so lost back then inside the flame. If we stop tearing at each other, then maybe, oh maybe, something will change. SOS, somebody come and save me from insanity. I know, we put ourselves on this road, but I want to go back.
All right. Howdy, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a really good Easter weekend. Spent some time with your families and got to relax a little bit. We took our well, I say took. We took her in the backyard and did
Oh, nice.
an Easter egg hunt, man, and she's still trying to figure out
how to do
how
it.
these things work. Yeah,
Well, the trick is to put money in the eggs. That's what we do with all our kids.
What's it? Two almost. I guess she'll be 3.
Yeah,
in June.
she
What's she
don't
gonna
care
do
about
with a
it.
bunch
Yeah,
of?
true,
Like, I'm
true.
definitely gonna just take it back from her when she's not looking.
Yeah.
But it was funny. She was, she didn't like the idea of once she got the eggs, she didn't want to put them down. So she was carrying, like 15 eggs, dropping one every time she'd go to pick one up. And, but it made for some really,
That's
cute,
hilarious.
yeah, it made for some really cute photos. All right. Well, folks, thanks for joining us. We, appreciate you being here. And, we're of course excited to be here as always. I said week 6 on the
I lost count.
I did too.
Yeah.
My wife does a much better job at, I think, knowing which week we're on. But okay, so we were supposed to have a guest on this session. We
still may.
We still may. We put out as you know, we put out the invitation for folks to come and join us. With us, we can't put more of an emphasis on the need to have more honest, civil discussions on the things taking place right now. So last week we put out an open invitation to everybody who might want to either phone in or join us live, or shoot, I don't even think we're opposed to somebody showing up in session.
Yeah,
being here in person.
Yeah,
but
we'll make it happen.
yeah. But we had a gentleman that took us up on that offer, and he's supposed to be on tonight. Josh, you've been dealing primarily with this.
He seems gung ho. I guess we'll see if he.
All right. Well, we'll see if he joins us. But I will say this will not be the first time somebody said they wanted to come
That's
on
true.
and then stiffed us at the last moment. We're pretty nice, civil people. Like, we're not gonna, we would never let things get out of control in here. And in the event that they do get out of control, that's really what Josh is for anyway. He's the muscle.
Yeah, that's right. It's
Okay,
real easy. It's real easy on this. I just click the button and now we can't hear him anymore.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one of the methods that we've for silencing people that we picked up during COVID, I guess.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and just get into it. And if Mr. Richardson decides that he wants to join us,
we'll bring. Yeah.
him in.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, folks, there's a lot going on. There's never a dull day nowadays. One of the things that I always like to say is, I think the chaos is just at this point part of the strategy. But there's a lot going on, as you know. Artemis 2, the NASA mission that just launched a few days ago. First crewed moon mission in over 50 years, since Apollo 17 back on 1972. And so this is part of, I think, the bigger Artemis program, which eventually wants to send humans to Mars.
Yeah.
Is there life? Was there life on Mars? I don't know.
There's traces of water, they say, which.
Yeah.
I mean, water supports life, helps create life. So
If we're not careful, there's gonna be traces of water here too.
yeah, well, or none.
yeah, or none. I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I was talking with them about what they thought the next resource would be that's causing a lot of conflicts.
Yeah.
And I personally think it'll probably be water.
Right.
That unlike oil, which, I mean, without oil, it makes your life really uncomfortable. We're seeing that with the Strait of Hormuz. It's putting a lot of pressure on the globe, but you can only go 3 days without water.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. True.
Yeah. So there's that. But anyway,
Hold on. You ever heard of the trapped water theory?
if you're referring to that massive ocean that we just
No,
discovered in the core of the
So every year, humans throw away into landfills bottles of water that amounts to millions and millions of gallons of water every year. And so it's trapped. It's trapped in a plastic that's not going to degrade
yeah.
for,
So we're gonna get
thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So
we're
this
gonna get
water's trapped.
So we're gonna get this microplasticed up landfill water
Yep.
that could potentially save us all from extinction.
Hey, maybe.
Oh man. So yeah, the Artemis mission, pretty cool deal. Growing up, I always loved space, and so I was pretty excited to watch the launch, which took place April 1st from the Kennedy Space Center, and they got a smooth launch on the first attempt. No issues. One thing to note though is that this is not a landing; they're doing a lunar flyby, testing some systems and procedures. But one thing I thought was interesting is how close they're not going to be to the moon.
Yeah.
So I guess in space terms it might be close, but they're going to be approximately over 4,000, I think slightly over 4,000 miles above the moon's surface.
Long
That's
way.
not, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's a very long way.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean,
You know what
I don't
else
really know
I
what to
find
compare that to,
interesting
but-
about it is they're going around the dark side of the moon.
which we've never done before.
Yeah, which I don't even know if any humans ever seen.
No, this is
dark side
the
of moon.
farthest
Yeah.
human mission into space
Yeah.
ever. So, I mean, the folks that are part of this crew, Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Koch, mission specialist Jeremy Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. So good to see that we're still, regardless of the rhetoric that seems to have been raised in a little bit between the United States
Yeah.
and Canada, we're still working together. So that's good. First Canadian to travel to the moon,
Oh wow.
which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of firsts here. So yeah, again, this is a record-breaking trip that we're taking in outer space, farthest that humans have ever traveled from Earth, at a distance of 252,756 miles. And this mission breaks the previous record, which was held by Apollo 13, by over 4,000 miles.
Wow.
So pretty big stuff. They are supposed to have completed the lunar flyby today, where there was a communications blackout. I think I saw some news that they had actually been able to phone back to the world, which is a weird thing to say.
Wait, so there was a communications blackout while they were circling the moon.
Yeah.
How convenient.
Oh, I know. Maybe they dropped off old Epstein. while-
Hey, maybe. Took him back home.
So this is pretty cool too. They got to witness witness. It says Earthrise from lunar orbit. Earthrise. So not a sunrise, but an Earthrise.
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool. And apparently, right now they're headed back to Earth. So continued prayers for the crew aboard the Artemis 2, hoping for their safe return back to Earth, where they will be welcomed, I'm sure, as heroes for doing something no other humans have done before.
Yeah.
In other news, back on April 3rd, we all remember the F-15 that was shot down by Iranian forces. Not too long after that, we had rescued one of the crew in a daytime mission. The second crew member, who had been missing for about 24 hours, we were unsure of. And the story behind the operation that went into recovering this guy sounds like something from, well, you remember that movie, Behind Enemy Lines?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it sounds something like that.
Yeah.
Where he's having to like scale up into the mountains, and hide in like nooks and crannies. Apparently, the Israelis, which did a great job of helping us in this operation, were keeping advancing Iranian forces away from this guy, and we ended up saving. So at this point, both crew members, or both airmen of that F-15, have been recovered. The second pilot was apparently injured while, I don't know if it happened when the
Ejecting.
missile
Right.
hit the jet,
Yeah.
or ejecting, and he had to stitch himself up, climb this ridge line that is 7,000 feet above sea level, and on him he only had his pistol, beacon, and I believe a radio from communications
Yeah.
device. So, not to mention the fact that the Iranian regime put a $60,000 reward out on the table
Yeah.
for anybody, whether that, just regular Iranian citizens who helped capture this guy.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to hear I just feel like there has to be some really cool stories
Oh,
of
it's gonna be
somebody
yeah.
that maybe just either didn't, some Iranian that
Solomon,
didn't say
yeah,
anything,
yeah.
or I don't know. What do y'all think? I mean, but I'm excited to hear about what this guy says whenever he comes. If they do some sort of public deep, I don't know.
It has all the makings of a good movie. I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. So very happy to have him back. The CIA apparently launched this disinformation campaign inside Iran, spreading word that we had already found this guy and that we were moving him on the ground. So we'd found him on the ground. We're moving him. So it created this idea that we already had him,
Yeah.
when in fact we did not, apparently. And then one senior administration official described it as the ultimate needle in a haystack. But in this case, it was a brave American soul inside a mountain crevice, invisible but for CIA's capability. So I don't know what kind of capabilities that includes.
Right. Right.
But to be able to see a human being, I guess we have a lot of stuff that could probably do that, pick up heat signatures.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's impressive. It's impressive nonetheless. And I don't believe we know his name yet, but welcome home nonetheless. Congratulations to all of the hundreds of American military and intel personnel that were part of that, including the Delta Force and the Navy SEALs, which also helped ground effort. There were aircrafts that were shot down, including two MC-130Js that were waiting to apparently exfiltrate him, and U.S. forces destroyed both disabled planes and 4 helicopters on the ground afterward, just to prevent them from
Being
falling
used.
yeah, well, in technology taken out of them, being stripped, being what's the word? Counter.
Man, what's
the word I'm thinking about?
You using it against us?
Yeah,
de-engineered or whatever it's called. I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah. Reverse engineered.
Reverse engineered. There
Yeah,
we go.
yeah.
So, no U.S. service members were apparently killed during that operation, which is great. And by all measure, it was an incredible success. So, again, thank you to the service members that were part of that. Job well done. Job well done. It does raise the question, how secure is, I mean, the president has said repeatedly that we have air, which I know that this alone apparently was a shoulder fire rocket that hit. So I wouldn't qualify that as not having air superiority.
Right. Yeah.
Some guy with a missile launcher or shoulder fire rocket launcher, like,
But it's like they've
all that to
flown
say, it's still
like,
a very dangerous situation.
Oh yeah,
over
that's
the sky.
that's what I was gonna say. It's I think they've flown over like 10,000 missions,
Mhm.
and they hit one, so it's like, so let's say 10,001 odds, but 10,001 odds that you die is still a little scary, especially if you're in the military.
Well, it was really interesting. So Adam Kitzinger, who was a former member of Congress, put out, and also Air Force pilot. He put this. He wrote something on Substack talking about all the training that goes in to exactly these kinds of situations. And so whenever it happens, according to him, you're not thinking of what to do.
Right.
Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. They know their job. I'm sure that the nerves are still there, but it's no question of what each individual person or person's role and responsibility is.
Right.
And so, I mean, I just think that speaks to the professionalism of the U.S. Armed Forces, and why we say we have the best of the best.
Oh yeah.
So, real quick, wanted to give everybody a little bit of an update while we're talking about Iran. We are now in week 6, so this puts us right at the deadline that this conflict was purportedly supposed to be winding down. And right at the beginning of the conflict, the administration said, I think the president said 4 to 6 weeks. Pete Hegseth followed that back up, really refusing to put a timeline on it, saying that we're going to be there until we accomplish the mission. Now, right now, we have roughly in the region 50,000 troops. The president had a press conference today where he was talking about the current status on the ground in Iran, where the Strait of Hormuz continues to be closed. And despite repeated claims that there are peace talks happening, the Iranians have rejected the notion that those are happening at all. So, where does that leave us? There's still a lot of bombing going on, both from the Iranian side, but also from the U.S.-Israeli side. And there are still, of course, a lot of lives being lost in this conflict, not so much on the U.S. side, but that doesn't make it any less tragic. And we got to find a way to bring this to an end. Every single day that strait stays closed, that's real-time economic impacts on the globe, including the U.S.
Yeah.
And the president is correct. We don't rely on the Strait of Hormuz like some of the other countries, like our partners in Europe do, or China, for example, Russia. But all you have to do is go to fill your gas tank up, and you'll find real quick that we're not insulated. The price of oil is global, right? And so when it goes up for everybody. And at a time when, in the United States, economically speaking, we're not exactly doing great ourselves, this is hitting the Americans right in the wallet, right in the pocketbook. So it'd be nice to figure out some sort of off-ramp. What that looks like, I don't know. Josh, I'd be interested in your perspective on it. For me, I've always said, and I said right from the very beginning, we're not going to accomplish regime change from the air.
Right.
It's not possible in a country like Iran, right? The president has said repeatedly that we have, in fact, accomplished regime change. And I would caution anybody who believes that to just then simply, ask themselves the question, well, then what else are we trying to achieve here? We've said that we've degraded their ballistic missile capability. We've destroyed their Navy. We've destroyed their Air Force, if you want to call it an Air Force. The Iranians have been using retrofitted planes from the 70s and keeping those things flying because they've been suffering under the impacts of economic sanctions for decades.
Yes.
So all that to say, we've destroyed a lot of the, let's just say surface assets, if you will.
Yeah.
But yet the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. They're still firing rocket missiles into neighboring countries. They are still suppressing the Iranian people that, the president today in his press briefing said that they're not leaving the house.
Right.
Part of that is due to us continuing the bombing campaign. But I think a lot of that is also the Iranian regime is still not above killing you.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're, somewhere you're not supposed to be. So, but that tells me we have not accomplished regime change.
Right.
If you can't go outside of your home without getting shot at or bombed, explain to me how that equals regime change. If we don't have a ceasefire deal,
right? Yeah.
How have we? If the Strait of Hormuz is still closed, then how have we won this war? How have we accomplished regime change?
Right.
What is the objective?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like, so you could say, okay, it's different people, but it's the same ideology. It's the same thought process behind it. So, I mean, it's hard to like. I wish we had a clear answer on what like the whole goal was.
Yeah.
And maybe it's, something that they're some sort of covert thing. I don't know. I mean, I love the idea that Iran, we're taking away their ability to be a state sponsor, the world's largest sponsor of terror. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. But still, like, I feel like personally, it's not a win. Like, we can't say like we won this war until the people in Iran don't have to live the way they have been living. I don't care, like, globally how it affects oil and economy, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Like, to me, the only thing that, to me, says we won this war is that the Iranian people can let's just say go online and post how they feel about anything
or simply,
without
yeah,
having a threat of death.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's winning to me.
yeah.
You know,
Well, and I think you bring up a really good point because if you'll remember before the bombing actually started, right now, of course, this is after the bombing campaign that we did back last June, where we hit their nuclear sites. You had a large population of Iranian people that rose up
yes,
protesting the government, wanting change, and they were slaughtered,
hmm
right? And the president immediately signaled to the Iranian regime, "Hey, we're watching you. Don't do that again, or we're going to be headed your way."
yeah,
Almost making it seem as though that was one of the objectives,
yeah,
one of the reasons that we were there. And Iranians are dancing in the streets, both in the United States, dancing in the streets in their home country. And I while I like to see that, I also know that that alone is not an indication of things to come.
yeah,
And I was very concerned at the way that I saw a lot of Americans, just like we did in Venezuela. Venezuela still has the same regime. Now, they seem to right now be working with the United States, but I'm not sure. I haven't been able to find a lot of information in the case of Venezuela as to how much of the proceeds from the oil that we are helping them with,
right,
if
right,
you want to call it that, are actually going back to the Venezuelan people.
right, yeah,
And if it doesn't start going to the Venezuelan people, if their lives don't change, right? You had brought up the stock market last time we talked about
Yeah.
this, Josh, and the average person in the United States does not care about the stock market,
right, yeah,
much less the average Venezuelan does not care about the stock market. They want food. They want to, the basics. They want
Yeah.
the basics.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think so. Like for example, when oil goes up and goes up stable, like right now, you
Mhm.
can't really say, but when it's stable at a higher price, around here, everyone's salary goes up.
mhm.
Like it's just more prosperous times, and I think like
Yeah, but how much
the
of the-
stock market is like a good indication of the
I think it-
overall health
I think it can
of
be.
the nation.
I think
really,
I think it can
Yeah.
be, but I would also, one thing I would say to that is that the stock market usually looks at the future,
right?
and is gauged based off of future predictions.
Yeah, yeah,
Which, for example, when the president says something like, we're gonna Iran has essentially till this was a couple weeks ago where he made that ultimatum.
yeah,
2 days, y'all have to figure this out, open the strait. We're gonna have a deal or else, right? Like,
Yeah.
and everybody's sitting on pins and needles, wondering what does that mean? Like, are we about to do something terrible? Like, what does that
right,
mean?
right.
That timeline gets closer and closer and closer, and then all of a sudden, he extends it.
Right.
It's no secret what everybody saw in the stock market that took place.
Yeah.
We saw it, right? And it was a clear manipulation of the stock market. So my point about that is it is not always, I think it certainly can be a really good indicator of things.
Yeah, for sure. It's
But-
you have to balance the volatility of the stock market with
Yes.
the actual price. Like if volatility is out the roof and the price is up, well, it's coming back
Yeah.
down. Like you really have to weigh that, and that's kind of like
Mhm.
that's why whenever it's stable at a higher price, like it indicates, and you
Yeah,
can really
much more-
argue with Venezuela that maybe that's not stable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, I would not call Venezuela a stable country.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
every region, every neighbor that they have in the region is still very concerned about what could be any moment a worsening humanitarian crisis.
Yeah.
Which is why I again think it's important for the administration to let people know, like, what are we actually doing? For example, Dulce Rodriguez. She had been on the sanctions list for forever, and we just lifted sanctions on her, which is an indicator that we're moving in a positive direction.
Yeah.
right? But what I will say is that we're talking about lifting sanctions on one person.
Right.
Now, if the Venezuelan people don't start seeing real changes, and if they feel like all of a sudden they're getting extorted, what happens then? That's the question. If the United States now is taking the oil and the Venezuelan people don't see that real benefit of that, what happens then? Right now, in the case of Iran, apparently Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey are working behind the scenes on some sort of diplomatic ending to the conflict. Iran has apparently signaled that they're open to a 45-day ceasefire of some sort that guarantees a permanent end to the conflict, but doesn't quite right now meet what Trump is demanding, which I would argue, if what we're demanding is that they can no longer have a nuclear program, we're never going to get that from them.
Right.
Right? For a lot of reasons, but that's unrealistic in my mind.
To not have a nuclear program.
To not have a nuclear program. And,
Yeah.
and what nation, what sovereign nation would accept that? You know, if you're being dictated to by a foreign power that you cannot have a nuclear program, whether it be for civilian purposes or not.
Sorry, he's saying that he's trying to get on.
Oh,
So
nice. I guess folks, we got our guy. He's going to join us. I thought he was going to stiff us, man. I thought he was going to, because I've been really excited about this. That's great. We'll get through this and then we'll get him on and we'll have a conversation. He wants to talk about the Save America Act, which, of course, I think is really important. I know a lot of you out there think it's also really important. And having these conversations, said it a million times, is also more important. So, one thing, though, on the Iran deal that I want to point out. Right now, we're operating under a timeline of 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. If they do not do that, once you get through coordinating with him, Josh, I want you to pull up a graphic for me if you don't mind.
yeah, for sure.
The president has threatened to strike Iranian power plants and Iranian bridges. As most folks know, we destroyed what was probably one of the largest bridges in Iran, in Tehran, recently. What's unclear is if that bridge was even operational. The Iranians seem to claim that it was still under construction, and so that begs the question: if that is true, and take that with a grain of salt, but if that was true, then did we just blow it up to blow it up? Right now, I'll tell you, and I just have to be honest about it. If the president were to carry out what he's talking about doing, that would make the United States war criminals. International law strictly prohibits the unnecessary bombing of civilian infrastructure, and on top of it being a war crime, I have to ask the question, and this goes back to why I thought we were originally doing this, which was to improve the lives of the Iranian people. Well, how does that work when we're blowing up their universities, blowing up schools, blowing up hospitals, blowing up bridges, blowing up power plants, bombing nuclear facilities?
Right.
I quite frankly, I think that's almost about as counterproductive as you can get.
Right. I did see where we had hit the university.
It's essentially the MIT.
Sharif or whatever.
Yeah, it's essentially the MIT.
But the reports from Iran or Iranian IRGC like media or whatever, that it was totally decimated. And then I saw other reports saying no, that it was one building and that there was no fatalities, and that the reports
there was
that
no
it was
school going on when they got hit.
Yeah, so, and they were saying that was like the facility that facilitates their nuclear program. And so I'm just like, I don't like hitting civilian anything.
Yeah.
I really don't, but it's like, I feel like we're running out of targets now, you know what I'm saying? So,
Well, but that gets back to the original mission of what were we trying to achieve?
right.
Because if you're going to claim that the war is over, that we've won, if you're going to claim that Iran's nuclear capabilities have been set back dramatically, which, by the way, to my knowledge, somebody out there is welcome to fact check me. Iran still has over 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium that we have not been able to locate. We have not been able to locate that. And from now, of course, there's some nuance that I have to add in here, which is what can you do with 60% enriched uranium? Because technically that is not what they consider to be weapons grade.
Right.
90% enriched uranium, that's weapons grade.
Right.
Now with 60%, with the right skill, with the right capabilities, with the right scientists, you could probably manufacture some pretty dangerous stuff.
Right.
They estimate that they can manufacture with that amount close to around 10 nuclear devices of some sort. And that's not good either. I was talking to a buddy of mine. You'll find this really interesting, Josh. He was coming back from Panama to the U.S. And when the plane landed, they started doing a sweep of the plane with a Geiger counter.
Oh, wow.
That's Geiger.
Wild.
Okay, so when he told me that, I immediately, my brain went back to something that J.D. Vance said.
Yeah.
Which sounds ridiculous. But at the same time, failures of the imagination have gotten us in a lot of trouble before. J.D. Vance insinuated that one thing that they are concerned about is somebody wearing a nuclear vest, essentially, that they can detonate. Instead of it being, a bomb where you just have ball bearings blasting all over the place. This is a nuclear device, a nuclear vest. And so I immediately thought to that, and I was like, that's so... it wasn't a drug sniffing dog that they had on the plane.
Yeah.
It was they were doing a Geiger counter sweep.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? That's what detects radioactive material.
Right.
And so, what was that about? I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
It's just a theory at this point. I don't know. But
that'd be crazy to get a nuclear bomb on an airplane. That'd be pretty
well, I'll tell you, I don't even want to go there, but we weren't exactly in the best position with the DHS shutdown to best protect against that sort of thing.
Right.
We kind of put ourselves in a little bit of a pickle there, but from what I can tell, it seems like we'll be okay. So Josh, if you don't mind, because I got to talk about this, because this is just, and folks, like, I know, there are supporters of the president. I get it. But like at the same time, like, can we not just agree that some things are actually just undeniably crazy?
Yeah.
Josh, put that tweet up that the president put out on Sunday.
Right there.
And I'm just going to read this because it's important. Like, it's just a little bit mind-blowing. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up into one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Like, I mean, he's saying this as though it's some sort of sporting event. Open the effing... Actually, I'm just going to... Well, you can see it. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. All caps. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, that's like...
I mean, outside of that just being a incredibly blasphemous thing to say.
Right.
Right? Which I'm sure people know this. Allah just means God.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But to say it in that way is an insult.
It's like he like memed
Yes.
them, basically. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm not a Muslim, but like if I were, I would know to be offended by that.
Right.
Right?
I don't know that I'd be offended as a Muslim just because he used the word Allah.
Donald Trump using the word Allah.
Well, maybe. I mean, I guess you could.
That's like saying if David Duke were to drop the N-bomb.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we know who David Duke is.
Yeah.
This is not me saying Donald Trump is like this extreme racist. But like, for Donald Trump to say something like that, I think hits a little differently than if you or I were to say that.
Right. Yeah.
That aside, like guys, this is not normal. Like, it's just not normal for the president of the United States to be saying stuff like this online. I mean,
Having all kinds of problems.
there's very little that surprises me anymore, but like this is the sort of thing that we should not be normalizing. This is not normal. It's not normal, and it's dangerous. He's essentially talking about committing war crimes in a Truth Social post.
Yeah.
While mocking the Islamic faith at the same time. Like, there's so much wrong with that. And like, when things are just wrong, folks, we got to do a better job at just condemning it. Like, that doesn't mean that you have to disavow the man,
right.
but to tolerate every single thing he does all the time.
No, yeah, I agree.
That's
It's like
not healthy, and it emboldens him to continue to behave this way.
yeah,
like,
if you can't like call out like your own people, then you're not just a follower, you're compromised. You know what I'm saying? You're not just a
Josh, back when we were fighting the Islamic State, one of the biggest pushes from the Americans, especially members of Congress, that was being made was to get the people in the Muslim community to stand up and defend their own faith.
Yeah.
And push back against the extremism. Well, we're really good at telling other people in other religions to do that. But, I mean, this is one of those situations where we should be taking our own advice right here.
Yeah.
Billy Graham, is that his name? Billy Graham?
Yeah, he's a big evangelist.
I watched this guy pray over the president at the White House in the most insane way ever.
Yeah.
Essentially referring to, I mean, it just, folks can go look it up. But like guys, some of this stuff is crazy, and quite frankly, it's not helpful to Christianity either.
Oh, he's there.
All right. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Yes.
How you doing?
Doing pretty well.
All right, man.
Pretty well, man.
Hey, folks, Stephen Richardson is joining us. He reached out to Josh, and I got a funny story to tell y'all. Actually, I hope Stephen, I hope you don't mind this. I got to tell this story. So, as folks know, I like to. There's very few times I'll ever post something and then not respond to people.
Yeah.
Right. And so a few weeks ago, Stephen and we had multiple interactions, multiple back and forths, in the comment section. And full disclosure, I did not know, because we don't know each other that well. I didn't know that he was Sawyer's
right
coach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I never went and did a deep dive on the profile.
Yeah.
And so, Stephen, when Josh told me that, I was like, oh, no way.
Yeah.
Small
world, man.
Small world. Well, it's good to have you on. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you having me.
We there for a while. We thought that you might have stiffed us, man.
Nah, man. Look, my bad. I was eating dinner and then trying to get the link to work. So
Hey,
I lost track of time, and then the basketball's on. So I was I looked at oh man. I said, I'm missing out, man. So, my fault on that. I apologize.
You're perfectly fine, man. We were just actually wrapping up on some of the news here. If you can hang tight, give us about 5 minutes, and we'll get over to you for the conversation.
Okay.
So, all that to say, folks, the situation in Iran, it's we'll see tomorrow, 8 p.m. That's the deadline set by the president. He said he's not moving it again. What happens then? Are we about to just go and commit war crime? Is that who we are as Americans? Because if what we care about is the Iranian people, bombing them into quote unquote oblivion is not helping them. And not just that, but Josh, get this. At the same press briefing that the president did today where he said this, not only did he say that he's prepared to do this back to the Stone Ages,
right,
but he also insinuated that we're going to pay for it to rebuild this stuff. Now, I remember the Marshall Plan after World War II, right? Like, we didn't just leave Germany.
Right.
We helped them rebuild. But this is not World War II.
Right.
This is not that situation. This was a war that we chose.
I think, didn't we loaned Germany the money? Is he talking about paying for it, granting the money?
He's talking about paying for it.
Yeah.
He didn't. Well, and to be fair, he didn't really specify.
Yeah.
much or offer many details. But I'm very curious to know what that means.
How that's going to work
You know
out.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Because we've already spent billions of dollars on this conflict. The Pentagon has asked for 200 billion more, and in the next year's budget request, he's requested 1.5 trillion dollars for the defense budget.
Yeah.
First of all, like any member of Congress that votes for a 1.5 trillion dollar defense budget when we are 39 trillion dollars in debt should be kicked out, especially if you proclaim yourself to be a conservative. We are not in a position, right? If we stop picking all these fights, there's no reason why we should need think about what 1.5 trillion dollars could do at home. While we're talking about not being able to, afford childcare, as the president said,
Right.
Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, things that benefit the American people.
Right.
And if what we're talking about is taking all that money, our money, us as taxpayers, and dropping that stuff in a foreign country when we don't really have any
Right.
real idea on what we're still doing there, when we didn't vote for this because apparently this was not supposed to be a war. Though today the president referred to this as a war more than 5 times in that press briefing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Congress needs to step up. It's time that we start figuring out what we're doing and we start asking the tough questions, man. This could still spiral.
How large of an increase is that, the 1.5 trillion from what it is currently?
We should look it up. I believe, I want to say, typically, I think the last defense budget, I don't want to guess here. I want to say it was somewhere in the ballpark of 600 billion, something ridiculous like that, 650 billion, which would be essentially doubling the last year's defense budget.
Yep. Yep.
What'd you find there?
195 billion. Currently,
100.
No, not 100. 800.
I was about to say that's really low.
Yeah, 895 billion.
So essentially, we could be possibly doubling our defense budget. Like, that's a little bit of, Anyway, we will see what happens. Of course, the president has continued to say that the United States might be pulling out of NATO. Josh, we've been talking about that, what the implications of that means. I think NATO at this point, they might be seeing the writing on the wall. They might be, not even might, they've been planning without us. They ran Operation Steadfast Dart, which was a military exercise without U.S. troops, testing just to see if the Europeans could operate independently. Apparently, we've told our allies, the U.S., that it will stop being NATO's primary convention defense after 2027.
Well, now I'm seeing conflicting, because I'm seeing for year 2025 that the total budgetary resources allocated is
Believe me when I say
2.2 trillion.
Believe me when I say when you're talking about appropriations in the defense budget,
I don't know. I'm confused.
you're
because
gonna
it's showing that it's-
stay confused.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to believe now. The Department of Defense at usspending.gov.
Well, if you're wanting to probably get a more accurate idea of what fiscal year 2024's budget was, I would go to the Department of Defense website or the Appropriations Committee website
Right.
within Congress.
Is it showing that the allocation currently, I don't know, for 2026 is 2 trillion, 2025 is 2.2. I don't know.
My thing is, to me, it doesn't even matter what the previous. We don't know what we're doing in Iran.
Right.
What are we doing? I still don't know. Members of Congress don't know. You're even starting to see Republicans that are breaking from the president, demanding to understand what is going on.
Right.
What are we doing? Who are we talking to? You say there's been a regime change. Who are we dealing with? Because from what I've seen, it's the same people in the same regime.
Definitely the same manner of practice.
Right.
Which I don't like. I mean, I'm definitely behind getting rid of those guys too.
Well, at the end of the day, again,
Yeah.
regime change in Iran is going to take ground troops.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
going to take a lot more than 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
Iran has a standing military of close to 600,000 people. It's not peanuts. It's not peanuts. And think about it this way. Think about how difficult it was for the United States to fight the Taliban in Afghanistan.
Right.
And they are nothing compared to what the Iranians are. I just feel like there needs to be more transparency. I saw a report today that the United States government has essentially told private companies that are capable of producing satellite imagery to stop producing satellite imagery over the skies in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Why that is, I don't know. Maybe so. It could be as simple as, divulging information.
Yeah,
that
location
would
data, whatever.
Yeah, dealing with troop movements or anything related to that,
Right.
which we wouldn't want our enemy to know. Or it could be that there's something else going on there that they're not telling the American public about.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this is why it's important for us to be asking these questions. Don't you think?
Oh yeah. I mean, you can't trust the government no matter who's in charge,
It's true. It's true. So with that, folks, we'll see what happens tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We either are going to see the Strait of Hormuz open, apparently, which I definitely don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or we could see the United States commit war crimes.
Right.
Which would be sad. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I know you have little faith, but I don't think we'll see any war crimes.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I really hope not.
Yeah.
I don't think the Strait's going to be open.
Well, I think personally, like, the Strait is easy to close. Like, all you have to do is just say there's mines. You don't even have to put mines. You know what I'm saying? It's like hard to, because when we got $100 million ship driving down.
So I agree with you wholeheartedly, which is why you shouldn't say things like that.
Yeah.
If because open the Strait, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Open it how much? I mean, just to where it was before this conflict started.
He just wants a commitment, I guess, because like you're suggesting, words have a lot of power. Those words, just saying we're going to put mines there. I'm not driving my $100 million ship through there.
And I'm not going to insure a ship that tries to.
Yeah.
I mean, we need more specifics, and we need people to get serious and stop tweeting at it. Like they're having a war on social media.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Anyway,
all right.
Let's get to the guest, Mr. Richardson.
You still there?
Sir,
sorry, we went a little long there. We always do that.
It's all good. It's all good.
Steven.
Yes.
How you doing, man? How was your Easter?
Well, Easter went pretty well. Went over to my mom's. So I spent some time with her and Monahans with the family, and just had a nice little Easter. Definitely didn't forget the reason for the season. Always Jesus is the reason.
Oh yeah.
So
he is
that's
risen.
right, man. We watched him. We had a good resurrection week, and yeah, man. It was nice. The weather was nice. Everything was good. So I think God definitely smiled on us this week.
There you go, man. There you go. Well, hey, thanks again for joining us.
No problem.
This is the first time we've ever done anything like this.
Yeah.
And so, I think from a formatting standpoint, at least, this is doable.
Yeah.
This is doable. So if you're out there and you got something on your mind you want to talk about, come holler at us. I heard, Stephen, that you want to talk about the SAVE Act.
Correct.
Save America Act, I guess I should say. So for people who maybe don't, and for me personally, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not even going to assume where you stand on that. But for everybody watching, and for me and Josh, where do you stand on the Save America Act? Why you think it's either a necessity or not a good idea?
Okay. I definitely believe it's a really good idea due to the fact of the widespread fraud that has been found and investigated in multiple states around the country. I've been watching multiple independent journalists who go out on the streets and just on the spot document illegal ballot harvesting, illegal signature harvesting. It's really very concerning. And it's mostly in these blue states. It's only in these blue states where this is going on, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And the fact that a state would not want to have a person present an ID, a valid identification of the various sources there are before you get a ballot is just irresponsible. Um, just to say the least. At the very least, everything we do, you got to have an ID. Everything we do, you got to have an ID. Driving, whether you, even if you're not driving, you have to have an ID. If you don't have a driver's license, you need a state issued ID. Whether it's a passport, whether it's a green card, whether it's any of these state issued forms or federal issued forms of ID are acceptable. And to have states like New York and California, who carry so much weight in our elections, handle it so irresponsibly is quite concerning.
Can I ask you? Hear you on that. But let me ask you a question. Is it from your perspective? Is it because when I look at it more from the standpoint of this legislation doesn't just say you have to have an ID, right? The main thing is proving citizenship on
Okay.
and that's one of many components of the legislation. Now, being that federal law right now already dictates that you have to be a U.S. citizen to vote in elections, and despite from what at least I've seen that I've been able to verify from every investigation that's been done into election fraud, including the Heritage Foundation, right? The masterminds behind Project 2025, in their own database, talking about the number of instances where they have found non-citizens to be voting between the years, I think, 1993 and 2023, somewhere in that block of time. They were only able to actually find 77 cases of non-citizens voting in U.S. elections. And so my question for you would be, A, do you, because I agree that it should be, I don't mind having to show proof of ID to vote in election. I already do that. In Texas, when I go to vote, I have to give them my ID.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not exactly what the legislation does. It makes you prove citizenship. So that's where I think the pushback for a lot of folks comes into play, because in order to prove that citizenship, the real ID, your driver's license, for example, doesn't do it alone. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay. Well, I have no problem with proving citizenship. If you need to bring 2 forms with you, bring your social security card with you,
But that's not one of the documents, though.
You got to be a photo. You can bring passport. There's multiple forms of identification.
Well, it doesn't have to be a photo.
Birth certificate. Birth certificate. Yeah. You can also bring birth certificate. I remember what I was reading, skimmed through, but
sure.
Yeah, it can be your birth certificate also. So, frankly, these are all documents that any responsible adult should have. And that's one thing is that, like, when this question gets brought up a lot, I hear people saying, well, it's difficult to get this, it's difficult to get that. But it's like, as a responsible, functional adult, you should have access to these documents because they are important documents. And if you're not responsible enough to get your hands on your documents and take care of them, then maybe you don't need to be voting. You know what I mean? It's
right.
Because it comes down to personal accountability a lot of times, because when voting first started, right? When voting first started, you had to be a landowner. You had to have some skin in the game to vote.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So it required that you did something, or that you actually have some skin in the game to participate. Now we're just letting anybody participate, and there's too many variables. So you'll have, like I said, a state like California, no ID. State like Texas, where we're pretty good. I think our voting process here in Texas is actually pretty secure. Go in, hand your ID, match it, scan it, sign it. You do all the touching. Hey, I think that is, and then you scan your ballot. All that stuff. All your choices get printed. You scan. I think that is fairly simple, fairly cost effective, and a good way to do it. Why another state wouldn't want to do that, I don't know.
Well, so real quick, if I may, one of the issues that a lot of people have with the way they're trying to go about doing this is that it seems to disproportionately burden women to do more to prove that they are a citizen than it would men. Now, for example, you're a woman who has been married. My wife has been through this, where you're married. Your name is not going to on your name on your driver's license is not going to match what's on your birth certificate, right? And so, just pointing out that you then have to go through an additional process that not everybody, men don't have to go through that. And for me personally, I honestly think this legislation, if it were only about the voter ID proving citizenship component, I personally think it's going to really impact Republicans way more than it's going to impact Democrats. All the evidence suggests that Republican women are more likely to marry and more likely to take the last name of their husband. Republicans in general, from a socioeconomic standpoint, have more poor people, have more people who are less educated. And this is just facts. I'm not trying to make any weird assumptions here, but what I'm saying is, and you combine that with the fact that the majority of people, and we showed a graphic on this just the other week, Josh, when you're looking at a map of which states have the majority of the passports, they're not in the South. And so here's what I think. I think if it were only about the proving up the citizenship component, which Democrats, I will give them no credit. They have done a terrible job pointing out the other more obvious concerns with this legislation.
Right.
But if it were only about the proving citizenship component, regardless of all the other things that women might have to do than men, or how it's going to impact poor people, I think it hurts Republicans more than it hurts Democrats. But here's why I think Republicans aren't concerned about that. Because this bill does a lot more than that. One of the more concerning components of this bill that Republicans are not talking about, and I'll ask you a question, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but are you aware of these other components of this legislation?
Such as what? Because I know there's a couple of things I think I've heard you talk about, such as like purging the voter rolls.
Well, not just purging the voter rolls, right? States can already essentially do that, but what it does is it transfers the power from the states to the federal government, who now has the responsibility of doing that, or the luxury, depending on how you look at it. Now, that is a problem in and of itself, but then you have this issue of, so you have the base law that governs the voting process as it relates to the federal governments and the states. The National Voter Registration Act, NVRA. Right now, federal law says that there is what's called a 90-day quiet period, meaning you can't purge anybody within 90 days of an election. Now, on a state level, states have different rules, as you've pointed out, as a result, when dealing with everything from whether or not you have to show an actual ID of some photo ID, or are you going to do signature matching, or are you, it's different in a lot of ways. And one of the ways that it's different is that that 90-day quiet period where you currently can't be purged goes away. And in place of that, you have a 30-day rolling purge period where every 30 days, the federal government will now get to purge voters from voter rolls. Why that is a problem is because of this. If you were to purge somebody a week before the election, so you go from being an eligible voter to being kicked off the voter rolls. First of all, my question would be, how do you know you've been kicked off the voter rolls? Well, some states, all states, are required by federal law to notify you when you've been purged. The only problem with that is that there's no base process for what notification looks like. I mean, I see the same thing in the oil and gas industry. It's a big part of my business model is people who are being force pulled in the state of New Mexico. That with force pull is being the operator notifying you that we are proposing to drill wells. We might print your name in the newspaper as people that we're trying to notice. We might possibly try to call you, but say the person who owned the original interest is dead and we can't reach you. Well, we're not going to try that hard at that point, or the operator might not. All of a sudden, this person is their oil and gas asset is being dramatically impacted, and they don't even know it. The same thing happens with voter purges, where you're purged and you don't know it. So, and you won't know it until you show up to try to vote. Now, there's only one state in the United States that allows for same-day voter registration, and I believe that's Washington State or Oregon, maybe one of them. That is the bigger concern for me. And when I hear the president say things like, if we pass the Save America Act, we will not have to, Republicans will not lose another election for 50 years. Come on, man. What? I mean, that's sketchy, no?
I mean, it's, I put it like this. Donald Trump says he says a lot of outlandish things sometimes.
And but he does most of them. He says he says a lot of outlandish things, but he also does most of them.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, he's not one to mix his words and pull punches. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely will. If he says it, he's gonna do it. The Iran situation, we can discuss that when we have more time. I'll tell you this: as a conservative and as a Trump supporter, this war I don't agree with. It's a mess that I believe. Basically, from what I know of the Israelis, I believe the Israelis got us into this mess. I believe under Biden, they were trying to get us into 4 wars and get us stretched thin. That didn't work. So now this is their other alternative. And when you get countries sunk into places like the Middle East, like Iran, Afghanistan, that's where countries go to die. So
real quick,
luckily,
because
we're not too far into this thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you on that 100%. But I want to focus back on this Save America Act, though, because this is really this is really important, because what I see is I see Republicans not actually saying, they're not saying what this bill actually does, and they're allowing people to focus on the citizenship component of this, because that is problematic for some people, but that is not the real concern. Now, from somebody, a former Republican, right? I had been a Republican my entire life up until recently. When I look at the Republican Party right now and how unpopular the policies are, I mean, we saw what happened here in Texas. Right now, Republicans, out of the 32 special elections that have taken place on the state level, they've won 0 of them. It is going to, unless, of course, the Save America Act passes, it's not going to be pretty. The House is all but gone, and they're thinking that the Republicans will lose the Senate as well. Now, I have to ask the question, why are Republicans not doing more, given that this is an election year? It seems like they're almost chasing unpopular policies that are not really benefiting the American people whatsoever. And
which policies are those, though?
Well, let's just okay. Yeah. So let's start with the war in Iran. That does not benefit. Yeah. That does not benefit us.
Correct. That's a gimme. We can agree. We can agree on that. Okay. There's I'll say this: with the information packages and things like that, I'm pretty sure somebody was telling Trump, "Hey, if we do this, it'll be over with this quick." Right. And this is my outside looking. This is my third eye view kind of thing. All right. So I believe, and this is, like I said, I believe. Mm-hmm. So I believe Israel has given us intelligence package after intelligence package after intelligence package, helped us out here, there, right? And then they give us this intelligence package on Iran and say, hey, you've trusted us with this, trusted that we helped you this, now believe us here. Mm-hmm. And then now we're in a little deep. We're not too deep, but we're in it at this point, right? And then Israel says they're not going to send troops. Hey, at that point, I'm like, look, you got to show me your commitment. If I'm Trump, you got to show me your commitment, put some boots on the ground before I do.
Well, I'll tell you
You know what I'm
this.
saying? Like, if
Yeah,
it means that much to you.
I will tell you this: if the Israelis put boots on the ground in uh, a Muslim country, you're going to see a lot of. I would advise against that personally.
It's biblical.
Um,
It'll be biblical.
I
is what
think
would
if we're
happen.
going to have anybody put boots on the ground, Saudi Arabia and MBS need to pony up.
Step up.
Man, MBS has been encouraging us to stay in this conflict, yet it seems like the commitment has been lopsided.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, Mohammed bin
Yeah,
Salman, the Saudi
yeah.
crown prince, and I've met that guy. That dude is really. I'll never forget this. I was in a meeting. It was Paul Ryan, Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer. It was House leadership. We're meeting with him. My boss was there. The congressman I used to work for, and so I'm just there staffing him, and I'm in the back taking notes. MBS has this like little twitch that he.
Oh yeah.
Like he has like a tick of some sort. But that guy, I watched this guy run laps around these members of Congress. They were oohing and awing over how smart this guy was.
Oh wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was just clear to me that it had less to do with how smart he was and more to do with just how gullible we are.
Right.
And you know, the Saudis, I will tell you an interesting theory that I have, right? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But I gotta hold your feet a little bit to the fire here, Stephen. This Save America Act, we can get into this Iran war for a second, but
Yes.
this Save America Act. Let me ask you this: do you and just be honest about it, right? Because I can agree with you on the idea that it makes sense. You know, I was talking to my dad, and he was like, "Why do we not just have voter cards, just like how we have an ID? Why not just have a voter card?"
Yeah.
Right? One of the other components about this bill that is going to be very problematic, outside of it being unconstitutional, the states have the authority over elections. It was intended that way by the founders for a reason. Just in case we ever had an individual who might want to try to manipulate the elections for his personal benefit. Now we can, you know, I will leave it there. But what I will say is, this is also becoming a constitutional issue. And and I'm still conservative, but I have not moved on the conservatism front. Being fiscally conservative is very important to me. Seems like a lot of other people have moved on it. And I'm a constitutionalist. Now, as a constitutionalist, when I see things like the birthright citizenship issue, this Save America Act, some of the rhetoric around Alex Preddy being armed at a protest, where I never in my life thought I would see gun owners of America and the NRA being like, whoa, Republicans, what are you doing?
Right.
These are constitutional issues. And the more we continue to allow people to chip away at the Constitution, it is not some impenetrable document that is, you know, impervious to being damaged beyond recognition. Like we have to be, as Americans, and especially as people who understand and tout the idea of being conservatives, constitutionalists, we should understand this better than anybody, and we should be the ones screaming from the rooftops about this. Because here's the deal: Donald Trump is not going to be in power for forever. And so if Donald Trump thinks that the Save America Act is going to guarantee 50 years worth of Republicans not losing elections, what does that then mean for the Democrat that takes over?
So, okay, now as far as, you know, like I said, the 50 years thing is the hyperbolic.
I don't think it's hyperbolic at all. I think it gives the federal government the ability. I think it gives the federal government the ability to purge voters who they know are going to vote Democrat and do it in the time frame leading up to the election to where they can't register to vote.
No,
I think that's why.
No, I don't believe that.
It's not.
I genuinely don't believe that at all.
It's not a matter of believing it. I'm telling you, it's in the text.
No. Because here's the deal. All right. So when you're talking about purging voter rolls, 3 things happen in 30 days that happen to everybody: death, relocation, and incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's prudent to do it every 30 days.
Now,
right?
Death, relocation, incarceration, none of those people are then going to be showing up in those states to vote.
This is what I'm saying. So if, let's say, you get a new job from Texas and you move to Oklahoma, and you have to be there in 2 weeks, you know, or 30 days. Let's say you're moving at the beginning of the month, whatever, right? well, then you now are not going to be in Texas to vote. Now you're going to register up there. So it would be prudent for them to purge you off the rolls.
Okay,
right?
so I got to push back a little bit, just a little bit, because if we're going to put the onus on women and poor people under the Save America Act to just be responsible adults and have their documentation,
Well-
well, then I would argue that the
Mhm.
same onus then has to be on the person moving states to notify the Secretary of State's office that they are relocating.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have to go register. You have to go register yourself. But however, a lot of people do not.
Well,
A lot of people do not.
and this is
Because
the,
here's what I'll say too.
this is the problem. though.
No, no, no. Well, no. Let me finish this point real quick because this is all right. So the politicians that we vote for, do they always tell us the truth?
Of course not.
Okay, so why do you think the people going to vote for them always tell the truth? You see what I'm saying? Like that's kind of where this.
Like with
That-
the
like, we have to also
self-attenuation thing. You're talking about the self-attenuation, like to say I am a citizen, essentially.
Well, no, not even that. No, it's just that. All right, so like in California, right, or in New York, they don't ask you for an ID, so you can go in there and you can vote multiple times in multiple locations. Because in Texas, it's secure.
Now,
Okay, we have secure elections.
yeah.
We have secure elections. Now you got two states like California and New York. I use them because they carry a lot of weight. They carry a ton of weight in our elections,
Sure.
right? And you got places like this who do not. And so and then, all right, just to make this point, all right, in the election with Trump and Kamala, did you know Kamala won every state that doesn't require voter ID? Trump didn't win not one state that required voter ID.
Well, but that makes
He won every.
But that makes sense.
He
though.
won every state. Well, I mean, but then if you have Trump winning every state that requires ID and her only winning the states that don't require ID, that says something. You know what I'm saying?
It says what you said earlier on, which is the states that don't require voter ID are blue states
Mhm.
that wouldn't have voted for Trump anyway.
Well, no, that actually you would actually have more voting for Trump. The thing is, their voter rolls, which actually in Nevada, in Georgia, Fulton County, they found 315,000 votes that they admitted to 5 years later.
But that
You
didn't
know what I mean?
happen.
That weren't.
Yeah, but that didn't happen though.
That did happen.
It
There's
did?
48 uncounted for tabulator tape. Yes, there is. And
So I
yes,
looked
there
this-
is.
Actually, here.
And matter of fact,
Let's fact
it was
check.
admitted.
Let's see
It
if
was
I
an
can-
admitted violation. It was an admitted violation, and Biden won Georgia by 1,170 votes. Now we know 5 years later, 315,000 votes were fraudulently counted and not accounted for. 48 tabulator tapes, right?
Mhm. Okay. So
Okay.
then,
So
if-
if you have,
well,
if
I
you have
gotta
tabulator
hold on,
tapes
Stephen, because you
of people-
you
but-
can't
but
just.
can I finish?
Well, I
Because-
gotta
I mean, if
address
there's an
what was
election process.
Okay.
If there's an election process and this process isn't being followed, how's that valid?
Well, it's valid because what you said is not valid. So that did not happen. What you are pointing to, which I know what you're pointing to. I looked this up before I came. Is in the state of Georgia, where they found irregularities that had nothing to do with fraud at all. In a federal
315,000 votes not signed is not fraud.
no, that's what you're
'Cause it-
saying. What? Okay, so don't take my word for it.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying.
What
I
I'm-
looked it
what
up
I'm
too.
s-
That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is I can see across the room, and it was a procedural violation uncovered, they say. Now, what happened was there was an investigation into this. 3 investigations.
It's still on. It's
still on.
still ongoing. 'cause,
One of them is,
yeah, it's ongoing.
but there was 3 investigations into this.
Okay.
All 3 of them came back saying what you
Well-
are claiming was not true.
Well, if you investigate yourself, of course you're going to find yourself not guilty.
Well, the DOJ
Yeah.
has been doing that since this guy got reelected too. But that's just like they
They
did
haven't
it.
found anything
They-
on Trump though. What have they found on Trump that would?
that he in the DOJ files, in the Epstein files, as I'm sure you.
What
brought-
about the Epstein files? They haven't, man. Okay, Epstein files. You really think he's been elected twice, and they've had these, and Biden had the files, and Ghislaine Maxwell went to prison for sexually trafficking kids to
Ooh,
nobody.
Stephen, my wife is probably at home yelling right now. This is just
Hey, look,
you can
to
look.
nobody.
Okay.
And, like, I don't believe it
Hey,
to nobody.
Okay,
but I definitely don't
Stephen,
believe
you're
it was
starting to
Trump.
do that thing I thought you were going to do, where you want to put misinformation out there without letting me put out the facts.
What misinformation did I put out there?
That 315,000 people had their votes discounted in the state of Georgia.
That's not what I said.
No, you said
That's
that
not what I
there.
said. I
Okay,
said 315,000 tabulated votes were not signed and accounted for, and there's also missing ballot scans. There's also
Okay.
48 missing tabulator
Okay,
tapes
okay.
that would that the people that count are
Steven,
supposed to sign
you got to hear
to
me.
get to a test. Hold on, 1 second, 1 second. The people that turn in these tabulator tapes are supposed to sign them as an attestation to the accuracy of the fact of the election. Correct?
Is what you're? Let's just say everything that you're saying is true. Is that fraud?
Yes.
No. It's been ruled 3 times that that's not fraud. The investigate.
It's not actually,
Okay,
because
let me.
it's still under.
Okay, Steven, you gotta let me. You gotta let me get this out there, man. The investigation that is currently ongoing, right?
Yes.
The Judge Booley in Fulton County, had to force the government to put forth the affidavit that they used to get the warrant, the search warrant that led to the election raid in Fulton County, Georgia. When they got that affidavit, what they found was that it was full of nonsense. Nonsense to the point to where the judge told, and keep in mind too, the prosecutor in that case was being subpoenaed to testify, and the DOJ wouldn't let him. Now,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, we will see what comes out of this. Judge Booley's supposed to be ruling on this pretty soon, I think. But everything that you're saying that insinuates fraud has been disproven. Now, you can say you don't believe it, and that's okay. But that does not make it true.
No. What you're saying, see, you're trying to paint over it, but what you're saying is it hasn't come to a conclusion. And as of March 20th, Georgia Court of Appeals sided with Fulton County.
Yes.
Fulton County a fight over election board appointments. Right. And this is just that's just the appointments, right? That they want to fight over.
They sided with
now,
who?
Also,
they sided with who?
They sided with over the appointments. This is over their appointments, right? Or who they appointed to the board.
Okay.
Right?
Which means
now, I believe
Which means what? Walk us through what that means.
Okay, give me 1 second here. And we can jump back to this. Because out of whenever you have tabulator tapes, right, which are basically the receipts off these voting machines, right? You have missing ballot scans as well, correct? So if you have an ID and you get a ballot, you should be able to match that ballot to that ID, right? Why are those missing?
What you are saying, though, is speculation. I just want you to.
No. It's true. It's fact. It is fact, and it's being hashed out right now.
So, if I were to ask you, text Josh the link to where we can find these facts, can you do that for us? Because
I'd have to scramble back through there and find it.
But here's the deal. I don't have to. You wanna know why? Because I have Claude on my phone. So what I'm gonna do? You trust Claude, the AI?
I don't use AI.
Well, what it does is it pulls all the publicly available data out there and analyzes it.
And then you also have to worry about how those AIs curate also, because I have definitely seen some hastily curated things that if you type in, if I answer you something and you put my answer into ChatGPT, or it'll give you something opposite of what I said.
But
it cites AI. AI is not a. What's that?
But it cites the information though. It tells me where the information is located.
Okay. Well, and like I like I said, I'm looking at what I'm looking at here, but let's. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna type in, was there fraud in the 2020 election in Fulton County, Georgia? Does that work for you?
You want me to do that on the stream?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can type that question, and that doesn't mean that's going to actually answer that.
It does answer it because I did it before I came here.
Okay, go for it.
Again, was there fraud in the 2020 election in Fulton County, Georgia? Multiple reviews, including by Republican-led Georgia officials, state audits, federal courts, and the Department of Justice, found no evidence of widespread voter fraud that would have changed the outcome in the Fulton County or Georgia overall. Georgia's Republican Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, certified the results after a hand recount. Courts dismissed numerous legal challenges for lack of evidence. But there were legitimate concerns that were raised, which is what I was getting at. Some issues in Fulton County were real, but distinct from fraud, which is why I asked you, was it fraud? Because the answer of was it fraud is no. Multiple levels.
They checked those votes against like the citizenship data and voter rolls.
So it
all
says,
that.
some issues in Fulton County were real but distinct from fraud, including ballot processing, delays, chain of custody paperwork, which is what you're referring to, chain of custody paperwork, gaps for some absentee ballots, and administrative insufficiencies. 2021 Georgia Senate investigation found procedural problems in Fulton County's handling of absentee ballots, though it did not conclude that these amounted to fraud that altered the results. So, you can.
So if it's not fraud, so basically, if it's not fraud, then it's just incompetency.
Yes, and there's a lot of incompetency in government.
Well, then
Now,
I wouldn't call that a valid election if it's incompetent.
yeah, but they recounted all the votes.
Yeah, but they're also missing 48 tapes. So where are those at? They can't count those if they're missing.
The government has them.
They do have the missing ones.
When they raided the Fulton County election office, they took all the now they're probably going to have to return them,
Right.
because of lack of evidence. But
I guess we'll see when the FBI gets done.
okay,
We'll see.
We'll have to have you back on then. But the reason why I bring this up though is because we already know that it's not always people who are administering the elections. That, I mean, most of the time they're volunteers. Like these aren't people that we're paying high wages to do this stuff. Under the Save America Act, it places in even more onerous requirements on the election workers, to the point to where you can be imprisoned, fined $250,000 if you screw up. Now you have to ask, okay, well then are we training these people in how to identify? I know we should. I agree, but it's not what they're doing. But should we be making sure that these people know how to tell the difference between a fraudulent birth certificate or a fraudulent passport or a fraudulent ID and a real one?
Right.
Because
so the way I see it, like just sitting back, listening to both of y'all talk, I think y'all agree on like a lot of stuff. Like could you say that you would support a different type of legislation that maybe clears up loopholes?
Oh, 150%.
Yeah.
Look, everybody.
I think we would all agree with that.
Like everybody wants secure elections, but what people who are opposed to this legislation don't want are clear attempts to undermine the U.S. elections. That's what this does. That's why they're doing it. That is why the president said, "I'm not going to fund TSA. I'm not going to fund DHS."
No, the president didn't say that. The Democrats said that.
That's not true. That
is true.
Okay, so
what did Chuck Schumer say?
Look,
what did Chuck Schumer say?
Josh, look it up.
Chuck Schumer.
Look, there's no sense in arguing about it. We'll look it up. They tried to fund the government.
Donald Trump.
Hear me.
Elon Musk offered to pay out of his own pocket.
Yeah, so did Tyler Perry.
Donald Trump also signed an executive order to pay the TSA agents immediately. So what are you talking about?
Because he had to do that because they didn't pass a funding bill. They didn't pass a funding bill.
Because the Democrats shut down the government.
That's not true. Democrats and Republicans.
That is true. That's absolutely true. They want ICE reform.
Listen.
They want ICE reform.
Josh,
are we?
Please look up. Did the Democrats and Republicans have a proposal that they agreed to that they took to the president's desk? And what did the president say?
Okay.
John Kennedy, who's a Republican in the Senate, said that he couldn't believe what the proposal included funding for the entire department with the exception of ICE and CBP.
With the exception of ICE. So that's the problem.
Yes, but my point is TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA, all the other agencies within the department would have been funded.
You got to fund ICE also.
No, you don't.
So why
because
do you want to fund ICE separately from all these other important federal agencies?
I'll tell you, because Democrats were demanding that there be reforms to ICE because we've had Americans.
So they shut down the government, I said.
No, they didn't shut down the government. Republicans and Democrats agreed to the proposal that they were going to take to the president. The president said, "I'm not signing that unless it comes with the Save America Act." This is just a fact, my man.
What were the proposals they didn't want? Why do they not want to fund ICE? Because somehow,
I'll tell you,
if you're saying that they're going to fund, hold on one second, they'll fund every other federal agency, but not ICE. And then it's like, the Democrats are the ones that have the problem with ICE, not the Republicans. So why is that? So it's definitely the Democrats holding this up.
Because the surges are happening in Democratic cities. Look,
Yeah, because they're sanctuary cities too.
we can argue about that all day long, but what I'm telling you is that so you asked about what reforms they wanted to ICE, right?
Yes.
What they wanted were body cameras.
Okay.
What they wanted were judicial warrants to enter your home.
No.
That is true. That is a fact. They wanted a judicial warrant, not an administrative warrant. Yes, that is
They
true.
want 20 million judicial warrants for 20 million illegal immigrants is what they want. So they want to slow the process down
First of all,
so bad that we can't ever achieve the goal of getting these people out.
First of all, 20 million immigrants didn't come to the United States.
How many came then?
4 million under Joe Biden. 4 million.
Oh, hell no.
Look
hell
it up.
No.
Look it up. It's
Absolutely
just
not.
okay.
15
Okay,
to 20 million came.
You don't have to argue with
Joe
me.
Joe Biden sued the state of Texas to let them in whenever Abbott tried to put borders down.
This is the
so
beauty.
no, it was way.
Okay.
It was not 4 million.
Do you mind if I show you?
Yeah, you can pull up. It was not 4 million.
It was
estimated to be 15 to 20 million.
I know what it was estimated by Republicans to be. It was nowhere near that. Never in America has there been 20 million illegal immigrants in the country. Never. Look.
Until Joe Biden.
No.
Until Joe Biden lifted the border.
That's not
the border wall. He literally sued the state of Texas for trying to secure our border.
No, he sued the state of Texas for
Yes, he did.
Okay. He's tried to sue the state of Texas for the way that we were trying to secure our border. And I disagree with No, it had to do with the buoys in the water and everything. There's plenty of articles on this, man.
Grok says
what's the problem?
Okay, Josh, what did we find?
Grok says nationwide reports indicate totals exceeding 10 to 11 million over Biden's full term, with Southwest land border making up the vast majority, often 80 to 90%. Some congressional and media summaries put Southwest Pacific encounters at over 8.8 million by late 2024.
Now, what did you not find anywhere in that report? What number did not exist anywhere in there?
Yeah, not 20.
Not 4 million.
Yeah, but
not 4 million.
Well, no, because once you break down that data, I'm telling you, it is 4 million.
It's not 4 million. It's probably more than that because you can't count all those people that came in illegally because nobody was counting.
Then how do you know it's 20 million?
How do you know it's not 25?
Because
it seems like the number's hard to pin down, in all honesty.
Here's the thing. But
it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's 4 million is too many. But my point is 20 million is unfathomably too much. And it's just not true. Now look. You don't
know that. I don't know that.
All the data.
You don't know if it's, you don't know if it's 25.
All the data.
You don't know if it's 15.
All the data from every administration since Bush 1 suggests there has never been 20 million illegal immigrants in the country. Never.
Suggest, but you've never been able to count them all either.
Okay.
So then when you have the border lifted
have you been to the border?
To,
have you been there?
Actually, I have.
Have you? Tell me.
I have. I was actually signed up for the border patrol. I actually signed up for the border patrol in 2022. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm just
saying. I'm definitely not a fool about the border. I saw them lifting the wire. I saw the National Guard get deployed. Yeah, I saw all that.
Okay. Well,
I went to El Paso multiple times during that time.
That's fantastic.
My wife.
Let me tell you what I saw, because I led a staff delegation trip, down to the border, and I intentionally put more Democrats on it than Republicans from northern states because they've never visited the border before. And so when we got down to the border, we met up with Border Patrol, and they took us on a nighttime operation in a Lakota helicopter. We're there using the laser, and they're guiding the people on the four-wheelers. This is kind of disgusting, but they called it rabbit hunting.
Right.
The Border Patrol agents, you want to know what they told me? They did not want a wall. Anybody who has worked closely on these issues know they didn't want a wall. What they wanted was more boat ramps, more roads that they could actually take ATVs down, more technology such as drones. So when I asked you about have you been to the border, it's not because in any way I was trying to belittle you or anything like that. The reason why I brought it up is because a lot of people fundamentally don't understand the U.S. border because they've never been there and they've never seen it anywhere outside of the mainstream news media, which is fine. That's okay. But the fact of the matter is, let me tell you this. Back whenever I was working up, there was a massive push to do immigration reform, right? Republicans said, we're not doing immigration reform until we secure the border. But they didn't also want to pass border security alone, right? That was Democrats' thing. But the one real effort that they had to actually do border security funding, you want to know who killed that bill in the Senate? Pete Sessions, not Pete Sessions, Jeff Sessions, the former Attorney General. Do you want to know who his staffer was? Stephen Miller.
Who's that?
Stephen Miller, the same knucklehead that is driving the president's approval rating into the dirt right now.
I wouldn't say all that, but I mean, amongst Democrats maybe, but not amongst Republicans.
His approval rating is in the dirt, and he's losing seats that he won by 17 points.
How many times when they do those polls, how many times have they called you to ask your opinion? Because I've never gotten a phone call about Donald Trump.
Just look, man, just look at the election results. 32.
I do look at the election results.
Then you know that the Democrats have won 32 seats and the Republicans have won 0. He's not popular right now.
The midterm elections, we didn't show up enough for the midterm elections. I voted for Wesley Hunt.
Well, the midterms are in November. Sorry, the general election is what I'm talking about. All these special elections that took place, that's just a harbinger. What I'm telling you, since like the 1930s, you have a record number of Republicans leaving Congress. And it's not because they simply just want to retire. They are leaving Congress because they see the writing on the wall. And instead of Republicans waking up, listening to what people like me are trying to tell them, they're denying the reality, which is fine. I want the chaos to stop.
Right.
What do you? You're kind of speaking in vague terms. What do you mean? Like, because and genuinely, this is what I want to know. What policies are Democrats offering that would make this country better? Because I have tried to get this answer from,
but I'm not a Democrat.
Okay, well, okay, but what? All right, if you're not a Democrat, I've been trying to, because I've talked to many people that claim they're not Democrats, but yet they use all Democrat propaganda. But then it's almost like you shoot all the shots from the Democrat side, but then when shots come back, you're like, oh, I'm not with them, which is like kind of cowardice to me.
It's not.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look,
I
can't speak for anybody else. All I can do is
I've
speak
dealt
for
with
me.
this.
All I can
I got you.
All I can do is speak for me.
So what are your positions? I guess because as far as like Republicans, I can line out with the Republicans: strong border, strong military, low taxes. You know, we want manufacturing jobs brought back. We want no wars. We want no wars, but shit happens, and hopefully we get this thing fixed and situated. We want regulated immigration. We want fair trade. We want to be able to go out and build a business and start and work for ourselves and be self-reliant, less dependent on the small government. So these are the things that we position ourselves on as conservative Republicans. I have been trying to get that out of somebody on the opposite position, whether you're a Democrat or not, to find out like what
I
other people
had
believe.
this conversation actually with somebody who was a Democrat. This was years ago, and he said that he's a Democrat and he supports Democrat policies and blah blah blah. And he goes, "How can you be a Republican?" And I go, and I told him, I said, "How can you be a Democrat?" I said, "All the things that you say, like that you are in favor of, like gay rights, more open immigration, all these things." I'm like, I told him, I said, at this point, Biden was in office and they controlled the House and the Senate. And I said,
the first 2 years. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I said, that's what I told him. I said, right now, the Democrats control everything. And I said, that's what I asked him. I said, what bills, acts, or any type of legislation have they passed that they have the power to do that actually says that they agree with you?
Democratic Party are my friend.
Oh yeah.
Like, look, if I get labeled this because you get labeled now.
Right.
But I'm not a Democrat. You asked me as far as what I stand for, right? I believe in the idea that the national debt is one of our biggest problems. I believe as a fiscal conservative, we should be dealing with that. Instead, the president has added more debt during this presidency and his first presidency than most other presidents in modern history. Also,
Get the mic closer to you. They're saying that you're quiet.
oh, sorry. I was simply saying that as a fiscal conservative, we have to focus on our national debt. What we can't be doing is passing $1.5 trillion defense budgets because we're creating chaos. As a conservative, I also believe in states' rights. I believe that the federal government should not be dictating to the states what the states should and should not be doing when the power and the authority is given to them by the Constitution. As a conservative, I also believe in the idea that we, yes, have to secure our border. Yes, I'm fine with people being deported. What I'm not fine with is the complete inhumane treatment of people. And I will never be okay with that. And they're being inhumane and they're being intentionally cruel. What I'm also not okay with is the trashing, the complete trashing of the Constitution. This used to be something that Republicans, if they even got a sense that you were going to be in any way violating any one of the Bill of Rights, you'd be ran out of town. Yet now it's the Democrats saying you need a judicial warrant if you're going to violate someone's Fourth Amendment to enter their home. And Republicans are fine with that happening now. They're fine with the federal government. No. Hold on, let me finish because you asked me this question. They're fine now with all of a sudden the federal government dictating to the states who controls elections. They're fine now with saying people like Alex Cruddy shouldn't have had a firearm at a protest. They're fine now with these things. They're fine with the idea that the president is silencing his. I'm not done yet. Is silencing his critics and using the power of the executive branch to go after people that just disagree with him.
You want to go there?
Yeah, no, I will go there because if Democrats do that, I'm not okay with that either. I'm not okay when that's fine. I oppose it. I'm not fine when any government does it. Neither, and you shouldn't be either. That's the point.
Yeah, I'm not. And I haven't seen Trump do that at all.
Okay. Then let's talk about the FCC then. Brendan Carr. Have you not seen what Brendan Carr's been doing? Have you not seen that?
I'm not familiar with Brendan Carr. I think the FCC, he got FCC chair got fired or something.
No,
this was a couple months ago.
So Brendan Carr has been actively going after late night show hosts because they make fun of the president. They've actively been going after universities, law firms, private companies because they criticize the president.
Not true.
Wow.
Not at what?
Well,
who's been canceled? Who's been fired? Who's been
nobody because it's unconstitutional.
Okay. So exactly. So how is Trump doing that?
Just because the Constitution and the courts are holding up doesn't mean he's trying to walk all over it.
So even the people at January 6th that were just there, that walked through and fist bumped police officers that were shaking hands, the police officers pointing them in directions that ended up getting locked up for taking a tour of the Capitol. So that was unconstitutional, but that got done.
I can tell you as a former staffer, I've given a lot of tours of the Capitol. January 6th wasn't no damn tour.
Well, look, I saw quite a few people. I saw Capitol police fist bumping people walking through there.
You might
showing them the offices. Yeah, you can find the videos online right now.
I'm not even disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is that was not a tour. That was not peaceful.
Oh yeah. Oh well, there was 130. I think there was 200 FBI agents in the crowd there. Set that up as well. So they were in the crowd. They were.
Yeah, one of them who was actually convicted, pardoned, and is now working at the DOJ.
Who's that?
Who is that?
I'm
FBI.
I don't know everybody in there.
No. So now he is working within the DOJ. At that point, he was just
Ray Epps.
Huh?
That guy Ray Epps that was out there. He was out there encouraging. Yeah, that was
if you think in any way I'm trying to say one side is right or one side is wrong, I'm not. January 6th in its
Okay.
totality was wrong. Members of
Correct.
Congress were fearing for their lives, including the person that
Mhm.
says that January 6th was peaceful. There's video of him on the House floor getting out of there right before the protests.
I'm not gonna say it was peaceful. I mean, it started off raucous and then it calmed down pretty quick. But yeah,
Well, look,
Um,
all I'm simply saying is like January 6th, you asked me what I believe as a conservative, right?
Okay.
And what I'm telling you is these are the things I believe as a conservative. These are what I still
Okay.
believe. I have not moved. The party is what moved, which is why you see
Okay.
so many Republicans leaving this party, voting for Democrats to get the chaos to stop. And you can say it's not
where's that happening?
literally look, Donald Trump just
Republicans voted for Democrats on what policies?
I'm voting for one in this election. No,
Yeah, I mean,
and
I know
this is what y'all don't understand. Y'all think we care about the policy. We're not at a position in this country right now where we're even thinking about the policy. It is not about the policies. It's not. It is about getting back to being able to talk about the policies, which we can't do right now
No.
because
No, you gotta have.
you're trying to tell me why I left the party and why I'm voting Democrat, and I'm telling you it's because of the
No.
chaos and because we can't talk about policy issues right now because every day is a new crisis.
I'm not telling you why you left anything. That's your own personal choice. What I'm saying is you have to have policy because without policy, there's lawlessness.
No,
You have to have some guide. You have to have guidelines.
No,
you
no,
have to
no. Look,
because this thing goes. Yeah, you have to.
if you
And then,
think
like,
if
so
you
just
think
like the-
that right now we're on the tracks, man, I all I can say to that is I don't know what to tell you. This is not going well. The president's approval rating shows us and should show him it's not going well. The way
Approval according to who? According to who? Because
the
as I
voters,
say, like
he
I
just
see,
lost Mar-a-Lago. He's now represented
look-
by a Democrat, man. You got to wake up to this.
yeah, that's an independent local.
No,
election.
it's not. No, it's
Okay.
not. This is happening around the country. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
I saw that. I
32
saw that.
Special elections have happened across this country.
What-
Republicans have
What
won
we're
zero.
what we're talking
of them.
about. What about policies? Right,
No,
where we were.
I'm not. What I'm trying to explain to you right now is we're at a position in this country where if you're in my position, if you're someone who sees what's going on, understanding the way that government's supposed to work, and then you see the president of the United States on Easter morning saying things like, fucking open the strait or we're going to send you to hell. God bless Allah or whatever. What we're saying is none of this is normal. This is not the way that government works. We want to get back to a place to where we can talk about policy again. Right now, we're at a place, for those of us who are awake, we're looking at this through the lens of, are we going to even have a constitutional republic if we keep up at this pace? That's what we're worried about. That's what the world is worried about. That is what everybody except MAGA is worried about. So when you talk about the policy, what I'm telling you is this is not about policy. This is about putting an end to the chaos. You know what I mean?
And then you're gonna need a policy to put an end to that because something's gonna
you
something's
don't.
gonna have to be signed.
No, you don't.
Something's gonna have to be signed and
No,
sealed
you
that
don't have to
says,
put a-
"Hey, this can't happen no more."
Yeah, it's called voting blue. That's how desperate
No,
it's.
absolutely not, man.
Look, I'm
So
just telling you what
blue,
is happening.
Voting blue would destroy this country quick as hell. You saw what Joe
Yeah,
Biden
just
did to
like
this
Kamala
country?
Harris was gonna get us another
9% inflation, 20
Just
million
like-
illegal
just like-
immigrants. I mean, we had lawlessness. We were in 3 wars around the globe.
Mhm.
We were how much money were we kicking out to freaking Ukraine
Who-
every week?
Who was
I mean,
it that was supposed to
United
get us?
States under Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's son was
Didn't
sitting
vote.
on the board of Burisma. Joe Biden's son was selling paint. I mean, Jesus Christ, the
Look,
corruption was so. He
you're-
had trannies with their titties out on the White House lawn. The
Yeah.
corruption was so freaking crazy
Look,
under Joe Biden.
look,
Did you want more of that?
no. But what I'm telling you is nothing that Joe Biden did was existential, meaning
But
it would
you
none
said you're
of
not
it.
a Democrat, but you're talking vote blue.
Yes, like a lot of Republicans are.
I don't think so.
You don't have to-
I think that's a falsehood you're making up, man. Because no Republicans and I know a bunch of them are voting blue.
You live in West Texas. What I'm trying to tell you is these.
I talk to people in Florida. I got friends in Florida, New Mexico, California.
Okay, well,
I got
look.
a friend trying to leave. I got a friend who's a head coach.
Okay,
Right? Hold on one second.
we gotta bring
I got
this-
a head coach. I got a head coach friend in California right now trying to leave California because it's been so horrible.
I have no doubt.
He wanted to come to Texas to coach.
I have
So,
no doubt.
so what I'm saying is, I talk to people everywhere,
okay, but
not just in West Texas.
That's fine, Stephen. But what I'm telling you is watch what happens in the midterms. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, I guess
It's
we'll
going to
wait
be a
and see.
slaughter because y'all aren't listening to what true Republicans are trying to tell you. This is madness.
Now, is there a party disconnect? Is there a party disconnect? There's some disconnect. I'm not gonna say there's not.
No.
But I don't think it's not enough to vote Democrat.
I'm telling you, I'm doing it. I'm telling you, a lot
Yeah,
of
I mean,
Republicans
you're
are
gonna vote
doing.
Democrat. I see.
No,
I
dude,
see you're gonna vote
Okay, hey,
Democrat,
Steven.
but you said you're not a Republican or a Democrat. But
I'm not.
okay,
I'm
that's
not
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But if you're gonna vote Democrat, that's fine. I'm saying if you're not a Republican, then you can't say you're a Republican voting Democrat because you're not.
That's not what I'm
the
saying. What I
Republicans
said
know
was
are
I'm a
not
former
voting Democrat.
Republican who left the party.
Former.
Who left the
Mhm.
party months ago because of the chaos. Dude, you don't have to believe me. You're gonna see. That's why the Save America Act is being pushed so hard. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, now let's Save Act. Okay, since we're back to the Save Act. All right. So you brought up the Heritage Foundation earlier, right? You know they found 1,176 proven cases of voter fraud.
Of voter fraud. How many non-citizens?
Yes,
No, how many non-citizens voted?
voter fraud.
That's two different
voter
things.
fraud.
The Save Act
All
doesn't
right,
deal
and then
with
you
voter
have-
fraud. It deals with
But
citizens.
that is in the umbrella of fraud.
No,
That is
it's-
in the umbrella of fraud.
Look, Steven.
And then,
all right,
however,
hey,
your most common type. One second. The most common type is fraudulent use of absentee ballots.
yes, which is
Second most is duplicate voting.
not what?
Right?
Which is not what?
That's fraud.
Which is not. Look, if you're talking
Mhm.
about fraud,
Okay.
then you're fundamentally misunderstanding what the bill does. It's not
So
about
what is
fraud.
the problem of so if that's the case with citizens voting, what is the problem with us securing our elections to make sure non-citizens do not vote?
You just answered your own question. What you're pointing out is fraud. Fraud is not, even though non-citizen voting might be labeled under the umbrella, you just broke it down yourself. And what you did not say in the categories was non-citizen voting. This Save America Act, the Save America Act is about proving that it is U.S. citizens voting in U.S. elections. It does
And
not
why is that a
deal.
problem?
I mean, so to his point, if we keep a clean voter roll, would that not help with fraud of all kind?
Yes, if the voter roll isn't kicking people off who are eligible voters, and every single time they have done an audit on this, it is eligible voters that get removed from the voter rolls, and they find minimal cases of non-citizen every time.
Right.
Every single time.
How does a citizen get kicked off the voter rolls, and what is the percentage of instances of that happening?
I could probably find the exact. It depends on the state, but how it happens is they're removed from the voter rolls because of they were flagged for a number of reasons. They could have been flagged because of all the three reasons you listed out. Maybe they thought that they were dead. Maybe they thought they moved. Maybe they thought they were a non-citizen. Maybe they thought that there was this is actually happens a lot in the case of people who have felonies, but are now eligible voters again, still getting purged.
Oh, really?
Yes, this happens all the time. What they have
Okay,
found
now-
every single time is that the vast majority of people who get purged from the voter rolls are eligible citizens. It always ends up
Okay,
impacting
now-
exponentially eligible citizens.
I guess that stands to
We
reason
have a-
because most of the people on the rolls are going to be, so like percentage wise, the people who are going to get kicked off are going to
Well-
be legitimate.
Well, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is like out of the numbers that they purge, right? There are different categories of reasons why they purged you.
Yeah.
Non-citizen voting is almost statistically irrelevant. It's so
Right.
small. 0.00001% is the exact percentage. Every other
And
category.
so is citizen purging 0.2?
No,
I mean, it's
no,
really it's really not going to be that high because
no.
here's the deal. You're
I'm
preaching one side of the argument,
no, I'm
but
not.
then you're
What I'm-
leaving off you're leaving off. There's people that are over 125 years old still voting in elections. They're dead.
Yes, get rid of them.
They should have been
That's-
purged, and they should have
I
been
think-
purged. They should have been purged off.
Yes,
but what
I
you're
agree.
saying right now
No,
is
that's not what I'm
well,
saying. What I'm
okay,
saying
but
is
what you're
non-citizens
saying-
are not that category.
But what you're
That's
yeah,
what I'm
but
saying.
non-citizens. But so if we continue to keep a clean voter roll and keep non-citizens out of our elections, what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm telling you is the Save America Act does not do that. There are better ways to go about it. If what you want to do,
What way would you have?
okay.
what
so,
way would you
so
do?
for example,
Okay.
right now within DHS, How do they confirm whether or not you are a citizen? Because they can already do that. For example, say you have to register for the Selective Service. They're not allowing non-citizens in the elective in the military, right? How do they know that?
No, they
How do they know?
illegal people in the military. They come in, they serve. That matter of fact, they serve, and then they gain their citizenship.
You got to point me to the law on that one because I'm unaware of that.
You never heard of you never heard of an immigrant being here? They join the military and they get their citizenship after through serving through the military.
No.
Okay, I'd have to look that one up for you. It's been a while since I've seen that one. I think I saw it on Vice. But
Yeah, I've
on
never
Vice News.
I've never heard
All
that.
that.
I've heard of people, obviously
because they
getting citizenship. But I don't know
then
if
they
it's
get
because of-
deported and then they get deported later because they were illegal the entire time. They were never a citizen. So yeah, so as a matter of fact, I remember seeing that story on Vice News where they came, they served our country, and then they still end up getting deported because they were never a citizen.
Yeah. Which
So, yeah,
they
that does
should
happen.
automatically.
Yeah, I mean,
get
but that's
citizenship.
Yeah,
my
I agree.
but that's
Now,
my
I
point.
agree.
That's
I
my
think
point.
that's jacked up. I think that's jacked up. They went through 4
Well,
years
no,
of
but-
military
but-
training and they never got found out.
I
That's
agree.
messed up.
I agree, but you're proving my point.
But it happens.
Yeah, but
I think honestly, this is real simple
but
because I
what
think
you-
right
yeah,
now
go ahead, Josh.
they don't allow like there's no connection between those two, between that tool that I forget the name of it, but that tool that can easily check citizenship.
It's called the safe system.
That's what I thought. I thought it was
Yeah,
called the safe
it's the
system.
save database.
Like there's no like connection where they can use those resources. Like I feel like that's a simpler path forward is
Yeah,
to
Exactly. I
Yeah.
agree. But what they shouldn't
Matter of fact,
but what they should hold on 1 second, Stephen. But what they shouldn't be doing is taking that power from the states. Why not empowering the states with that system?
right. Yeah, well,
Because
I mean,
instead
that is a
of
solution.
centralizing everybody's personal information and putting it into one database that undoubtedly is going to be hacked. What?
No. I would say this. So you got the federal system and you got the Brady system too, right? You buy firearms.
Yeah, I have a whole closet full. Yeah.
Okay, so buying firearms, I bought quite a few myself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when you go to fill out that background check form, right? Look, the form, you can lie on that form if you were ever inclined to. If it's as you are a fugitive from justice, you'd be stupid to put yes, right? You know what I mean? Like you're obviously going to get denied if you're a fugitive from justice. You check that box on that form. But however, I'll give you a good story. A guy I used to work with, he was a junior, his dad was senior. He went to go buy a gun. He got denied the sale. Not the DA. What the hell? ATF. ATF calls him, and we're at work. We're sitting in there, and he's like, "This so and so," and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I'm calling to tell you why you got denied for this gun. Blah 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 blah. You had this charge back in so and so forth." And then he's like, "What?" He's like, "Sir, I was 4 years old in 1992. You know what I'm saying? Blah 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 blah. You know, and it's just a mix up, right? But it was his dad, not him. And so he had got denied the sale, but then once they got it cleared up, he was able to go pick up that gun. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's just simple things like that can happen, even at the best of
100%.
systems,
100%.
right?
And look,
So
The resources
with
out
the
there, we
federal,
just need
that's
to
what
be
I'm
able to
saying.
use it. Yeah.
yeah, what I would say is this. Now, the federal government over federal elections, over all the states of federal, that is their purview, is federal elections. So your state elections, your county elections, your local elections, that's yes, because these are federal elections, so federal oversight is granted.
No, you fundamentally don't understand how it works then. That is not true.
I fundamentally do understand how it works, because here's the deal:
The states don't just
because the problem because
Hold
the
on, no,
problem
I
with the
gotta cut
elections
you.
is
I gotta cut
obviously
you. I have to
with
interrupt you
states like
because what you
with
just
states like
said,
California
I have
and
to-
New
I have-
York
I have-
is so drastically different.
Joshua.
Yeah.
We need to streamline this process so federal elections are all the same.
But that's not true. What you said. It's in the Constitution.
What?
It's not true.
What
you
is not?
No,
We're
the
not
power
talking about
of
state
the-
elections.
No, I'm not talking.
Stephen, are you saying that we should change the law to where
The
federal
federal
government is
government
over
does
federal
not provide
elections?
oversight over federal elections. That's not true. That's not true.
What were you saying, Josh? I'm sorry.
So I was saying, are you saying that the federal government should be over federal elections, or you're stating that they are now over federal elections?
They should be over federal elections
Okay.
because it's federal is federal, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
if,
right.
if there's a process for a federal election,
Right.
federal should be over federal.
Then-
Like they should have a say on how
Okay.
that. And
So
really,
if you
honestly,
want
what it should
that,
be,
if you
it
want
should be.
that though,
Give me 1 second. Give me
Sure,
1 second.
sure,
It should be
sorry.
one machine from one company if we're going to use machines or paper ballots. Frankly, I want paper ballots because hey, and count it the same day.
okay.
You
If you mind if I respond to that
Me
real
first.
quick? So
Go for
the issue right now is that fundamentally the way our government works is that the president or any one party can't just decide that they want to do something unconstitutional. In the
I'm
Constitution,
telling
which Republicans care a lot about, right? You care about the Constitution.
certainly.
It gives the power to the states. Now, if the president decides he wants to do something about that, maybe he should use the majority that he has in the House and the Senate to pass bills instead of doing every
That's the
single
SAVE Act.
thing. That's not what the SAVE Act does, though. That's not all the SAVE Act does.
The SAVE Act secures our elections.
No,
man.
it
Yes, it does. It
Okay.
absolutely does, and it's an attempt to further secure our elections from outliers, from immigrants, people that should not be participating in our elections.
which they already don't
That's
do.
what it seeks to do.
But
Oh, they do.
Look,
Oh, they do.
Steven,
Yes, they do.
Steven,
As a matter of fact,
Stephen, hold
matter
on,
of fact,
man.
you can.
Stephen, look, I have
Nick
to.
Shirley, independent journalist, has found multiple illegals that have voted in our elections. Yes.
So he's done a better job than all of the many audits that are
Absolutely,
out there.
yes.
Okay.
Hey, look what he found in Minnesota. Who didn't find that?
Well,
That's not even the
so
same.
Ding, ding, ding,
that's,
ding.
that's not the same thing, man.
So I think what Steven is
It-
pointing out is, I think I sent you the video a
Mhm.
while ago, was where they were going down the streets and actually paying, where the hidden camera thing. I think I sent it to you.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about, where they were paying the homeless people to vote. They were paying them for
Are they
Yeah,
are they
signatures.
are they
But
US citizens?
Well, they are U.S. citizens.
Okay, so then there's nothing wrong with that.
But
Look,
it is a crime to
There's a
pay
lot
them
wrong
for
with
the
it.
vote.
Look,
There's a lot wrong.
there's a
with it.
lot wrong
Yeah.
with Citizens United too, because you have people like Elon Musk putting $300 million into campaigns. If we're gonna fix one, we got to fix it all.
I agree.
What I'm talking
I
about.
mean, George Soros has bought how many
Yes, I'm
governors?
not-
How many
look,
DAs? How many?
I agree with you.
Okay.
We should put an end to all of
All
it.
right.
But
I agree.
what you're
All right.
doing,
Well, speak on both sides. Don't just speak on one side.
you're taking it that way, but I'm not doing that. What I'm telling you is,
So you threw Elon Musk out there, and I'm just saying, call George Soros out too. Because if we're going same here,
Yes.
you claim not to pick one side
okay,
over
look,
the other.
I want George Soros, whatever he's doing, to stop. I agree with you. The Save America Act, though, look, man, I was a policy advisor. It was my job to be able to read, write, interpret, understand, propose legislation. What I'm telling you is this is not a partisan talking point that I'm making to you. What I'm telling you is what you think this bill does, it does not do.
Then what does it do? Tell me that.
I will tell you exactly what it does. So it does require proof of citizenship, but it doesn't.
All right.
But
So secure our elections.
it doesn't do it in the way that Republicans are saying it does it. It is more complex than being able to show up with an ID and vote, which is how this is being proposed. Like it does a lot more than that. And all I'm saying,
What does it?
it requires
How does it make it harder to vote?
because, and this is just one component. If you would just hear me out, I'll tell you exactly what the bill does. I got it right here. Is that okay with you?
I got it on my iPad too. I've read it 4 times the last couple of days. That's why I'm wondering what I'm missing.
Well, I
that
asked
you're
you
trying to
if you had heard about all the.
bring up.
I asked you if you heard about the other provisions, and you said you weren't familiar.
I told you that 30 days it's prudent. It's very prudent because people die, people move, and people get locked
It's
up.
never.
So I thought
Look, it's never.
it is prudent.
Okay.
It's not,
If it's prudent, then it's
and it's
just
responsible.
okay. If it's prudent, it's just now prudent. If you were going to purge people every 30 days and be able to purge them within the window to where even within that state they can't register to vote, tell me how that makes sense. Tell me why you're okay with that.
Because if you relocated, got incarcerated, or died, you should be purged off.
Yes, people are being purged
So-
though who are eligible voters is what I'm telling you, man.
How?
Because
How
there,
is that happening?
it
What is the
doesn't.
criteria?
There is no
Yes,
criteria.
it does
What I'm
matter.
s-
It does matter.
It does matter, but
It matters.
what I'm telling you is it is happening on accident because that's what happens when they do these voter purges. It's happened in
Hey,
every
look,
no.
is anything perfect? So illegals vote in our
It's not
elections
a.
too.
It's
But no. So while you're saying citizens get purged off, and illegals also vote in our, so it's not a perfect system. So we're doing the best we can to keep it as clean as possible. Correct on
no,
both sides, whether we're trying to purge, while we're trying to keep an accurate tally of county voters in a specific county, or whether we're trying to keep people out who shouldn't be in. We're doing the best we can. Is it going to be perfect? No.
no.
There's going to be some
Yes,
mistakes.
I understand, but what we're talking about is not mistakes. What we are talking about is where
It's
federal.
obviously it's a mistake. It's not
Steven, you
intentional.
gotta let me talk, man. You gotta let me talk. I listen to you. You gotta let me speak, please. Federal courts are having to get involved because of how many eligible voters are intentionally being purged from voter rolls to manipulate the vote. This is happening whether you want to admit it or not. All you have to do is Google this.
Where is this? Where is this data? Of the amount of. I mean, seriously, if you got it, pull it up because I mean, you claim to have seen this. I haven't seen it.
Do we have the? I left my flash drive, but we just talked about this on the last episode of the Save Act.
Yeah.
How many states have been caught purging eligible voters in the federal courts having to intervene?
What? How many is it? How many is it?
I can't give you the exact number of how many it is. But
So
what
it's not very. So if we don't know, if it could
no,
be, if
it's no, it's I don't know right now in this moment because I don't have it in front of me. But what I'm saying is Google it. Every single major voter purge that has taken place, primarily it's eligible voters that get kicked off the rolls, man. You Google it.
What about the dead people that 125 years old that aren't alive that stay on?
Steven,
Honestly,
you keep saying that,
give me 1 second.
but that's not
Yeah,
what
no,
this,
no,
that's
this
not
has
what
happened.
the,
No,
that's
but
not
this has happened.
that's not what
This has happened. You're complaining, but your complaint is that eligible voters get kicked out the voter
No,
rolls, right?
that's not my complaint. My complaint is the Save Act doesn't accomplish what you're saying it does.
You said that eligible voters get purged off the voter rolls, right?
That does happen, yes.
Okay.
More
so
often than not.
Also,
Josh,
you
Josh
don't
Josh
know
just,
how often. Hold on.
okay, well, Josh just
Give me
looked at, Josh just
Hold
looked.
on.
Josh,
Now you're talking over me.
Josh,
Now you're
please,
talking over me.
Josh,
So,
please give the
me 1
information
second.
Okay.
So,
about the voter.
I've got.
This is our stream, my man. This is our stream.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Yeah, but regardless.
I'm
But I'm
willing
talking
to
to you, and we're trying to have a conversation. We're trying to be
Josh,
respectful
we might
here,
have
my
to
man.
cut this guy
So.
I don't want to end this, but Josh just looked it up. He has the information you were asking for.
I do have a list of states
Just
that.
come on, man, work with us here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
So I can give specifics, but it did happen in Virginia, Alabama, Wisconsin, Georgia, Ohio, Michigan, and it's from all different years. And let's see, Wisconsin, 31,000 voters, and it led to the reinstatement of
by a federal
30,000
by a federal court.
So yeah, so 31,000 voters were erased, and the courts forced them to reinstate 30,000 of those. Let's see, Georgia purged over 300,000 voters, including for inactivity. The state restored roughly only 22,000 of those. Let's see. Michigan in 2008 Michigan purged over 1 million from 2011 to 2018.
So that's a seven-year time frame.
It said in 2008 they were ordered to reinstate over 5,500 voters for wrongly being purged.
So Stephen, this is my point, man. Like, these things are just happening. It's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of fact.
But if we're talking about 1 million voters and then 5,500 got reinstated, that is like infinitesimally.
Yeah.
You want to know?
Yeah, it's statistically insignificant.
You want to know what's more insignificant than that? Non-citizen voting.
What's that?
Non-citizen voting.
Well, how do you know if these non-citizens, which we can't count and keep an accurate count, how do you know?
What do you mean?
Because
are they casting?
Like we just said,
are they casting ballots or are they not casting ballots?
They are. They are casting ballots.
Under whose name?
Exactly. That's the point. Because you know why? They can vote multiple times in New York. They can vote multiple times in California. So they could be Jose Ramirez over here, and then they could be Ray Acosta over here. because they don't check.
Well,
So this is why I'm saying
so-
this is why I'm saying the federal government needs to get involved and make sure that, hey, we just streamlined the election process, all 50 states for federal elections. If you don't want to do voter ID for your state election, New York, hey, that's your state election.
and here's the deal. I think we can all agree that we can make changes to make the system better. Easy changes, in fact.
I want
And-
there to be those changes.
Yeah, and
Right.
I think what Brandon's getting at is like get rid of these little loopholes.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely agree with that. There shouldn't be any loopholes, right?
No, of course not.
Let's.
Okay,
I want,
yeah, it can be
I want-
straightforward.
yeah, you
It can
know,
be
I
straightforward.
think it's as easy as that. It's like,
You got to abide by the Constitution, though,
Yeah.
unless you want to pass a law to it or do something to amend it. As George Washington said, the Constitution, until changed by the will of the whole people, is obligatory upon all, not some,
right?
not the president, all of us.
Yeah,
And it's meant to be that
You know
way.
what? That's the beauty of the Constitution, also.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that it can be changed. And the way I see it is, like I tell you all the time, I was like, we all see things in basically the same way. It's just we always differ on how to go about it.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
That's,
And
I agree with that, but we
Yeah.
also have to be able to, everything that I've ever said or put out there, I have backed it up with citation and fact.
yeah,
We can't be having these conversations if it only involves how we, I mean, I guess we can, but how productive of a conversation are we going to have if one party is using the data and the other party is using nothing?
right.
Like we have
Well-
to be able to agree on at least what reality is.
Right, right.
This bill, Stephen, is trying to take a problem that is statistically not a problem at all to overhaul the federal or the U.S. election system. What I am saying is we should be working together to find the path forward on this. The Save America Act is not it, which is why you have the president saying things like, if we can just pass it, Republicans won't lose another election for 50 years because they can have the power to purge whoever they want within the time frame that does not allow them to re-register to vote. That is a problem.
And see another problem. That's not the problem. That is not the problem. That's the way you're characterizing it. That's not the problem. The problem is you got somebody like I said, in 2024 with Kamala Harris won only the states with no voter ID, and then you have the Biden Trump election where he won by 80. He had 81 million votes. Never ever has anyone ever had that many. And 11 million people just all of a sudden didn't show up for the next election. That sounds hella fraudulent.
Well, yeah, and I get where you're coming from with that. And here's the way I see it. Like, I wish, like, because I kind of agree with your same logic. It's like it doesn't make sense to me that
The math ain't
that,
mathing.
that the numbers are that low. But that being said, those statistics aren't available out there anywhere. It's like, and you've said this many times about like with the Trump administration, where you're like, well, then just say that. Like, tell us, give us those statistics. And to me, I'm like, I feel like, I mean, in this exact situation, it's like, so if it is a widespread problem and there's millions of illegals voting, give us that information, like make it available, because then I think even Democrats would be absolutely behind
By
it, you know?
all means.
Yeah.
It would not even be a question.
Yeah, every single person,
It would
because
not
they're
be a
all
question.
for voter ID. You know, what is it, an 85, 90% issue at this point?
Yeah,
Like
But when
showing
you
ID?
when you take something like the Save America Act, which was part of Project 2025, that the president said he had no affiliation with,
Yeah.
now Russell Votes running the Office of Management and Budget. Come on, like it's just obviously clear what this bill does, and if it doesn't do what it does, then why are Republicans not talking about all the stuff that I'm telling you about? Why are they not talking about how it changed the 90-day quiet period? Why are they not
You
talking
believe
about the
Project
onerous?
2025?
Do what?
You believe in Project 2025?
The better question is you don't.
No, I do not. That is total nonsense, hogwash. And the fact you bring that up, just like it
I don't know
takes
much
away
about
credibility
the
from your
Project
arguments.
2025.
I mean,
The
they
fact-
literally
but
have
it's
they literally have the
hogwash.
author of Project 2025 on camera talking about Project 2025.
Dude,
On
Donald
camera.
Trump. What does that have to do with Donald Trump? Did Donald Trump write it, or
No,
did he write Agenda 47?
No, Donald Trump didn't write it. What I'm telling you is the people within his
Okay, so what's that got to
administration.
do with Donald Trump?
I'm telling you, the people within his administration that were the authors of it are serving in positions for Donald Trump, pushing this stuff.
They might be serving in positions, but that's not Trump's agenda. So what is they can't push an agenda if that's not Agenda 47.
If you look at what Project 2025 says,
I don't, because it's crap and Trump didn't write it. So why would I look at something that Trump didn't propose?
Because if you do look at it, what you'll see is that everything that is in Project 2025, for the most part, has happened.
No, it is not. And you're operating.
You don't even know. You haven't looked at it.
No, yeah, I do actually. I went and looked at it in the beginning, and that's why that's why I know it's so garbage. Because the thing is, the fact that you're going to try to bounce your position off of something that Trump didn't write and something that Trump didn't endorse, something that Trump didn't put forth, that's like me attesting to you for you in a court case, and I don't know you from Adam. You know what I'm saying? This person wrote this. It doesn't have nothing to do with Trump. Trump didn't give him the okay to write it.
Look,
Trump didn't sign off on it.
That's not the. That's not the. That's
Wait. So how are you measuring Trump's presidency by something he didn't endorse nor did he write?
Because that is the way that policy is formulated. The congressman doesn't write the bills that he introduces.
Policy now, and you said you don't want to talk about policy, and this is not a policy that Trump wrote.
I know, because the president doesn't.
So
write
why are you
policy.
judging Trump by something he didn't write?
Because the president doesn't write policy. His cabinet does. He signs it. That's literally the way our process works, man.
Which part of 2025 has he signed that he said, "Hey, this is 2025, and I signed this due to Project
you know
2025"?
what?
I'm just gonna because I looked it up. It's right here. Okay. Project 2025 is a policy initiative published by the Heritage Foundation ahead of the 2024 election. Here's what it proposes.
Yes.
Core idea: a roughly 900-page document called Mandate for Leadership, laying out a blueprint to restructure the federal government under conservative agenda. Key proposals include replacing thousands of career servants with politically loyal appointees, using an executive order called Schedule F, dismantling or dramatically shrinking agencies like the Department of Education, which has been abolished, the EPA, which has been gutted, and NOAA, which has been gutted, concentrating more executive power in the presidency, which has obviously happened, eliminating the Department of Homeland Security in its current form, check, rolling back climate and environmental regulations, check, restricting abortion access at the federal level. He returned it to the states, where the states have restricted it. Ending diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, check. Come on, man. Overhauling the FBI and DOJ. What I'm telling you is...
Did Trump write that? No, right? So he wrote Agenda 47. So let's go to what he wrote in his own words. How about that?
Okay.
Because I don't like going off what other people wrote, saying because a lot of people call Trump Hitler. A lot of people call Trump Hitler.
I was gonna say, how about this? Since we're starting a new topic altogether, what if?
Real quick, Josh, do you mind if I just read a little bit of what Agenda 47 says? This is his official campaign policy platform.
This is his platform.
Yes, and either he's failed you big time, in which case I question why you're still supporting him, or he never planned on doing any of this. Invoke the Insurrection Act on day one. No check. Expand Schedule F to make it easier to fire federal workers. That is a check. Prosecute political opponents. He as he describes as the radical left. He's tried 0 convictions. Immigration, largest deportation operation in U.S. history. Nada. End birthright citizenship. It's not going to pass the Supreme Court by probably a 7-2 vote. Reinstate remain in Mexico policy. Complete the border wall. Impose broad tariffs on imports, especially from China. Illegal. Ruled illegal by the Supreme Court. Cut regulations significantly. Sure, I support that. Bring manufacturing back to the U.S. That's never going to happen. Education and culture. defund schools teaching critical race theory. or
Manufacturing actually has been coming back to the United States, actually. So that's actually been happening. So that's not true.
Okay, let's see how many
The
manufacturing jobs.
and actually the Supreme Court on the tariffs, they actually told him how he could still get the tariffs. So within their dissents, so they actually made sure that he could still get that in.
Yes, and he has to
go
repay
ahead.
every country under the old tariffs. And every day that
No,
he is
no,
not,
he does not.
yes, he does, man. It's just a fact.
That they'll never get that money.
That's fine. It's going to be accruing interest.
Yeah, and where they're gonna who do you think that we are going to
Well,
pay
did-
that to?
It's
and,
not a-
and
it's not-
especially whenever they need when
Look,
they need us.
It's not a matter of whether or not we actually do it. I'm just telling you, it is real that we are ordered to repay that money.
To China.
The
That's
people
all
that well, no, not to China. The people who paid the money, they were U.S. companies. Correct?
Not all U.S. companies. You had a lot of foreign countries who had done trade agreements with Donald Trump to avoid the excessive increased tariff
Mhm.
penalty,
Uh-huh.
right? To only then find out that tariff that he was imposing on them was not legal.
Okay. So
Under
they
the
made
international
they made
economic-
a special deal
Yes, to avoid,
it. Okay.
and then it was ruled illegal.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. As far as paying back other countries, that's not. It's U.S. companies that would be getting paid
Primarily
back.
U.S. companies and states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say earlier was, it's actually been a really long stream at this point, and instead of starting a whole new topic, y'all say, I mean, I feel like it's been-
manufacturing is down, by the way, just so you know. Side fact, I guess.
I mean, I can pull up probably a different source and find something different, but now I mean, we can definitely reconvene
well,
and do
you
this
know
another
what?
time.
And you know what? That he's 100% right on that.
I would love to have you back on.
But that's what I
We
was
gotta-
going to say.
yeah.
Like, it points to how everyone,
Mhm.
our very first stream, how our timelines and what we're presented are all
You're
different.
so good at this.
You
You're so good at the. I love it. I love it.
How they're like all different. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? Like how they're all different and like,
Look,
hey,
Steven,
his
I do
worldview
not-
is curated by what is fed to him.
I
Same with all of us.
completely understand. But there are some things that are also just real. And it's okay to acknowledge that they're real. And if I were wrong, I would be perfectly okay saying, you're right, I was wrong. But like, we can't just take everything that we disagree with and say it's not real. There are some things that are just simply real. And I would love to have a conversation with you again. I think it's important. But
Yeah, I mean,
nothing,
Definitely,
nothing
definitely,
that I've told you is a
we
lie.
try to. Yeah, no, same here. Like I'd say that I'd always tell people this. I'll tell you a lot of things. You can say a lot of things about me, but you can't say I lied to you.
Well, you spoke your truth for
Yeah,
sure.
You spoke your truth, man. You spoke
you
your
know,
truth.
like
I-
whether it was all facts or not. You know, I
well, and
I
the
never
thing is,
know if what I'm saying is real or not.
here, and I think that's the important thing,
Yeah.
right? As long as we're not intentionally trying to mislead one
Yeah.
another, I think that's the important thing,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Right.
if you believe what you believe and you really believe it, great. If you can back it up with facts, even better. But if you believe it, and I know you're not intentionally trying to wrong me by giving me a lie, telling me a lie, then you know, at somewhere in there is room to figure out a common path forward
Yeah, for sure.
in which everybody gets to walk away with that thing that they want.
I mean, it's not, and I would say it's not about belief. It's about the facts, you know. And when I anything I tell you,
Don't
if I'm
push it,
telling somebody
Steven.
something,
Don't push it.
I'm
You
just saying,
you
anything
said
I
a lot
tell
of
you- anything I
infactual
tell
stuff.
you,
Don't
you
push it.
You can base it in fact.
It's
you can
not
base it in
fact.
fact. I'll tell you
It's
that.
not fact.
It
Project
is.
2025
It
is real.
factual. It is not. That is something real
majority
by
of
somebody
voters-
else. Anybody,
The majority of voters that
anybody
get
who's not
purged are
Trump-
eligible
and
voters.
a lot of people that are not Trump can write a lot of things, and it doesn't make it attributed to him. You see what I'm saying?
But when he does the things they wrote,
No. It's still not him. He
Then-
has his own agenda.
okay, that's fine.
You can copy
but
his
if he
agenda and make it
does,
sound similar, but that's not his agenda. He did not write
You're
that.
right, you're right.
He did not. He
You know,
did not
Steven,
advise anyone. to
his
write
agenda
that.
was
He
to
did
not get us.
sign off on that.
His agenda was to not get us involved in any more wars. Kamala Harris was going to do that.
Mhm.
And here we are,
Mhm.
back in the Middle East.
Mhm.
Hey,
Man, you know what?
Yeah.
hey, man,
I
thank you.
disagree with it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying
All right.
is, you know, we all fall short, though.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
fall short.
Anyway,
Hey, man,
well,
thank you for
well,
joining
we
us.
can do this again.
Absolutely,
problem.
man. Absolutely. Hey, man, you take care of yourself. Have a good night.
All right.
Later. See ya.
Later. See ya.
10:52.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Gosh, and there's still 7 poor souls watching
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Who survived it?
Well, hey, these things.
It was a spectator sport for me.
Hey, man, you did a great job of moderating it and keeping it,
Well, I
it's
need
always
to
important
get
bring it
better
back.
at it. I just, I'm just like, that's what I said. This is our first time, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah. But I enjoyed that, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it gets a little bit fiery. All these conversations get fiery. These are big issues that we're talking about.
Yeah.
They impact millions of people. I would be more concerned if they weren't getting fiery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Anytime y'all would start, I feel like getting farther and farther apart, I try to bring you back together.
well, thank you for that, and thank you for the folks that are listening out there. We appreciate you tuning in. And if you want to come on and talk about something, please join us. That invitation is a open invitation for as long as it needs to be. We appreciate you.
Yep.
We will see you next Monday.
Yep.
8:30.
We'll be there.
And I'm sure, much like every week, we will have plenty to talk about. So, can we put a
Stamp on it or fork in it.
Put a
We're
fork
done.
in it. Yeah, we're done. Y'all take care. Have a good night.
Later.